But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to get airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, well, I thought we'd collide some worlds. You know this is a writer's show. You know this is a dreamer's show. You know this is a show of haunted tales from our past. And of course, what that means for the future. So I thought, let's combine them all. Let's talk about all the things. Because why not, right? Hey, it's our narratives. We can do what the hell we want with it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to get weird. Time to get weird, says Shane in the chat every time we start. And that's exactly what we're going to do. As you know, I'm going to start with all the disclaimers. So I'm weaving a narrative of fact and fiction. Okay? So if your actual sense of reality blurs a little bit, you're not making it up. I'm doing it intentionally. Okay. Just a reminder, all the disclaimers apply. There are absolutely no answers here, only questions, only ideas. And if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. This is just ideas, and I can't say it enough. But recognize the narrative building is a powerful thing. Very powerful. And if you've been watching the news cycle recently, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But you don't have to do that because you're very smart, because you're listening to Troubled Minds, obviously. And you already know these things, so I don't have to reiterate them over and over again. But it is strange how mainstream narratives tend to just want to make you punch yourself in the face. That's enough of that. Okay, we're going to start here. Now, I'm calling this tonight the Undercover of Bone, the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. Yeah, what does that mean? Hold tight. We're going to start this slow. There's an old story. Okay, this actually goes back hundreds of years in Paris, France. Anybody ever been to Paris? I have not personally. I've read quite a bit about this spot, but we've never actually talked about it directly. But it is probably one of the most fascinating places in the entire world, in my opinion, especially if you do a paranormal radio show. And, well, here we are. Let's see, what is that? Control F9. No, what was that? What the hell just happened? That's not what I wanted. Function F9. There we go. All right. So this is from dailygalaxy.com. Links are going to be in the description down below. I encourage you to read this stuff in full if you're interested in these ideas, because there's a ton here. So I'm going to just start with this one, okay? And if you've ever heard of this, cool. If you haven't, cool, because we're going to touch on this a little bit. And the headline is this: 6 million skeletons hidden beneath 150 miles of tunnels. Yeah, that's right. Beneath the streets of this city, an eerie network of tunnels holds the remains of 6 million people. And this is, of course, the catacombs of Paris. And if you've seen some of the pictures of this, some of the actual literal pictures, these are not AI photographs or generated things. There are millions and millions of skulls beneath, and not just skulls, all manner of bones and skeletons and all the rest of it. It is creepy, okay? And well, there's a lot of questions to this, but first, just think about this. Think about the pure scale of this. I'm going to read just a little bit. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris, where the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre draw millions of visitors each year, lies a dark labyrinth largely unknown to tourists. Hidden below the city's surface, the Paris catacombs house the remains of more than 6 million people in over 150 miles of underground tunnels. That's a big tunnel. This fascinating yet macabre site offers a glimpse into Paris's unique history, far beneath the glamour of its famous monuments. And of course, so just as part of the filling in some blanks here, so the catacombs were created in the late 18th century as a solution to the growing health concerns in Paris's overcrowded cemeteries. Okay? You live in an ancient place with a lot of people dying. I guess this becomes a problem. By relocating bones to an underground site, the authorities hope to prevent disease outbreaks linked to unsanitary burial conditions. And that sounds horrific. Did you catch a cough because they buried Uncle Jimmy wrong? Let's hope not. That's just gross. The last remains were moved to the catacombs by 1860, though it was first opened to the public in 1809, initially by appointment only. Since then, the catacombs have become a unique attraction, captivating the curious minds of visitors. Okay, and so that's where we begin. I saw this article. It was kind of new. It's not a new idea, but it is a new article kind of talking about this and, kind of framing it in the sense of 2025, which we're going to do tonight. And we're going to go super weird. And we got sitting in with us, James Salcedo, of course, of Salcedo Paranormal. I thought this one might shake him out, because this is like a super haunted place, right? Like if there's such thing as a haunted place with human resonant energy, I think this place might be a super haunted place. We'll get to that. Anyway, so that's where we begin. Underground in Paris, 6 million skeletons, 150 miles of tunnels that have mostly been sealed off, that you cannot get public access to. Even the museum tickets you can buy, which the links are in the description down below if you want to check that stuff out. Like I said, I do recommend it. It's pretty good. They have their own site, of course, where you can buy the tickets, and it has the history and the scary pictures and the whole bit. It's cool, right? Neat. At least, at the very, very least, it kind of like that. But anyway, so 6 million bodies. Let's see. Okay, let me just check my notes. So think of this. If you're talking about hauntings, as I've described, What about a super haunting? What about 6 million dead skeletons in one place, in one catacomb, that have been removed from their original cemeteries and moved into this particular space? If there's ever such a thing as a super haunted place, you bet your bippy this is probably it. So, okay, so the question tonight as we begin, and we're going to get into some weird stuff because that's what we do, but specifically about the idea of these emotional or energetic imprints of not just people visiting, the trauma of moving the dead from the graveyard to the catacombs themselves. And then, of course, there's some real weird oddities that go along with the story here, with this actual historical place, which we'll get to as well, which touches on some secret societies. So hang tight. We'll get to that in just a moment. Lots of stuff here to talk about. But the first question would be this. As part of the larger catacombs of Paris, can trauma leave a trace in physical material? Do places remember us? And if any place in the world could, I would imagine it is the catacombs in Paris. Chew on that for just 1 minute. We're going to take a quick break and get a word from our sponsor. In this case, Human Inspiration. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got James coming up and your calls as well. We will be taking your calls, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support Human Inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Under cover of bone. Framing it, of course, in the catacombs of Paris. 6 million skeletons, 150 miles of tunnels that have not been open to the public in not only dozens, but possibly hundreds of years, depending on the spot. Now, there's another part to this that I was reading about that kind of spooks me a little bit, because we don't just start with the cemetery or the super cemetery or the super haunted idea. It's a start. But there's some other weird shenanigans that come along as part of this. And there's a group called Less UX. I'm going to read this straight from the Wikipedia here, just for brevity. UX, short for Urban Experiment, is an underground organization of urban explorers that improves hidden corners of Paris. Remember this story? Back to 2004. Their work includes an undercover effort to repair and restore the Pantheon's clock, building a cinema. This is where this gets weird. Building a cinema complete with a bar and a restaurant in a section of the Paris catacombs underneath the Trocadero. Is that how you say that? Pardon my French, literally. Restoring medieval crypts and staging plays and readings in monuments after dark. The group's membership is largely secret, but its spokespeople include Lazar Kunstmann. Yeah, that sounds like a trap. Spelled just like that. Anyway, super strange, right? That they created an actual underground cinema in some non-public space in this massive cemetery of 6 million skeletons, 150 miles. And supposedly they did it by stealing maps that are not public to find these places where they could do this. And yes, I have the articles down below if you want to read up on it. It is the true thing. And yes, the story of a secret underground Parisian society. Yes, indeed. Which, of course, gets me to the larger concept here, which means if there's this seems like the white hat secret society. They're down there fixing stuff. I mean, I don't know if a movie theater in the catacombs is it's truly white hat, but I mean, they weren't down there trying to summon Cthulhu, for instance. But anyway, so let's start with that question, the initial question. If there's such a thing as a haunted area, is there such a thing as a super haunted area? And of course, in this, they moved all of the remains from above ground cemeteries and put them underground over the course of a few dozen years. You guys ever seen Poltergeist, where they built houses on an Indian burial ground? Yeah. A Native American burial ground, I should clarify. Yeah, right. Anyway, so don't worry, we're going to get weird. I got lots of wild ideas tonight, and we're going to get into not just that, haunting, super haunting, secret societies, and beyond that, I've got a new secret society for you. Yeah, it's called the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. We'll explain that too. Love to hear your thoughts, though. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to James. What's up, brother? James in Michigan, Salcedo Paranormal. How are you, sir? Welcome to the joint. Go right ahead.
I'm okay. This is an amazing topic. Even just the catacombs on their own. Just really, really fascinating. I tried to do a show. I guess I did a show on this years ago. I don't remember a lot about it now, except I remember that it was not easy to find a lot of detail about them. I don't know if you ran into that or not yourself, but I found articles here and there that said, different things. And they also, the ones I found over the years, and this is a few years ago now at least, where I don't remember what they were, where to find them or whatever. But they did talk about there being people in there that would have events and things in there. I wonder if this is that same group or if it's a different one. And either way, it's fascinating because then does that mean you have different secret societies down there? Are making events, having events, and in parts of the tunnels that are not easily found and or not available to the public? Yeah, I don't know. That's really an amazing idea.
Exactly. Well, so again, I think just not even 10% of this is open to the public. That 10% would be 15 full miles, which is still ridiculous. So that type of thing makes you go, okay, so what the hell's down there? And, clearly some of the stuff that you can see, you can buy tickets and go see this thing. I know some of you have been there. Some of you maybe have not. I have not. I've never been to Paris. They'd probably kick me out on site. They'd be like, that guy, get him out of here. Deported. I'll get the deported stamp on my forehead. But it definitely begs the question about super haunted places. We talk about liminal spaces. We talk about super liminal spaces. But in this particular regard, this is arguably the largest cemetery in the world. I mean, as yet discovered. Maybe we find one bigger or weirder in the coming years. But as of right now, it certainly stands to reason that it would be one of those super liminal places, super haunted, filled just chock full of human trauma and the lifetimes and the bones and the rest of that, and the resonant energy of the people that had to move these things. And that, they did it by dark of night. As a matter of fact, most of this I was reading because if they couldn't do it in the daytime because the ancestors of the people in these cemeteries were so pissed off at them that they had to kind of sneak and do it when people are sleeping or whatever. I mean, a lot of trauma as part of this. And that's not even going into the haunted stuff. So that's the question. So we're going to get weird as usual. James, anything on the super haunting and a super liminal space? And do you think that conceptually thinking that this might be one of the most haunted places in the entire world, just based on that, the amount of bodies that have been moved and restructured and stacked and people visiting? And I don't know, what's your take?
It's tricky because, I mean, the sensationalist media out there, websites out there would probably automatically go, yes, of course, it's the most haunted spot in the world. But if you think about cemeteries and graveyards that have been around for centuries in some parts of the world, and there's other places I've heard of that have smaller versions of the catacombs. I don't know if it really can. I guess it'd be maybe possibly the most haunted place as of right now that we know of. But if you think about all these other places where people have been interred in the ground and everything, and how over time ground levels can change and all that. I'm not trying to be morbid, but I'm just saying there's a lot of possibilities of there being just, I mean, who knows how many people, depending on how long an area has been used for a burial site. I'm thinking, I don't know for sure on that, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it seems, I've heard accounts of people going there and just being freaked out, even people that aren't really going there for the paranormal side of things. I've heard of just people getting the sense of there being a presence there. It's just, I can't blame them for that. I mean, that's really, I mean, if you think about all those people, all those remains down there, even if, let's say 1% of all the spirits of people that were buried there are there, that's still, that's still 60,000 spirits?
I never do math on a live stream.
That's true.
Let's say it's a lot. It's a lot.
And that's a lot on its own. So it could be. Just I've heard of accounts of people getting lost in those tunnels and not knowing how they got lost. Just so all these kinds of things really are fascinating to think of. And is it just the fact that there's all these skeletons, these remains down there, or is it a combination of that plus being in a tunnel, in a underground system? Because there is no obvious night or day down there. It's just dark, unless there's areas that are lit or whatever. But I would imagine being in that kind of a space where you have solid walls all around you, and the floor and the ceiling are stone, which can also have its own energy. That could definitely lead to some possible paranormal activity there.
Yeah, I would guess. And I think when you do dig, I didn't go dig some firsthand accounts out of this. This was a sort of a conceptual show, which we'll get to, and I'll tell you why that is. We got a Pearl Jam tie-in. We've got this Brotherhood I'm talking about, which is a fictional Brotherhood, but it's super cool anyway. Because of course, if you're thinking in terms of secret societies, you don't know anything about them. They kind of disappear into history. And we've talked about this in the past quite a bit as well, the different ones we do know about. But what about the ones we don't? And wouldn't this be a prime spot for the most secretive societies in the most esoteric ways to be doing stuff down there? And you know what I mean by stuff, rituals and all manner of wild things, whatever that means. And, like superliminal could mean a lot of things. And so that's that. And again, so the name of the group here, so we're talking the catacombs of Paris and 6 million skeletons down there. This group, which is basically a secret society, less UX, the short for urban experiment, that not only was kind of sneaking around down there, built a movie theater underground in the catacombs. They actually fixed this clock in the Pantheon and were taken to court for it. They caught 4 of them. They tried to prosecute them in court as part of it. And apparently from what I read, the trial lasted 20 minutes. The judge laughed and was like, get out of here. Like, how are we going to hold these guys accountable for fixing stuff because they didn't have a permit or something? Thank God somebody out there has a brain. But I mean, imagine that. You're sneaking around, you're breaking the law, you're maybe putting your life on the line because who knows what kind of, cave-ins could happen down below. And you're building a movie theater in the catacombs, whatever, right? And then they want to throw the book at you. I don't know. I think the movie theater is probably a little bit, I can see how people would be mad. But fixing the clock kind of off the clock would be really kind of nice. I mean, we need more citizens that'll do nice things for society. And hey, even if they got to be secret societies, if you know what I'm talking about. That's where we start. Okay, we're going to get to some other secret society ideas. And Pearl Jam, like I said, and of course, this is going to fit into the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. What does that mean? I don't know, but I'll try and explain. Anything, James? Got about a minute left if you want to add anything to that. Of course, you're welcome to sit, and we'll get back to you momentarily here. But what you got?
Yeah, glad to sit in for this one. I was saying in the chat there, it'd be pretty hard for me not to sit in for this one. But yeah, that is amazing that they did a theater because I mean, again, that's a screen. That's I know it's later on your write up there, but that's a mirror. That's a blank image for you to look at, and who knows what you can see. It's amazing to me to think of all these remains down there. I mean, how close to the remains did they build the theater is what I'm really wondering about that now. It's how close, are there spirits, are they close enough where they could watch the movies along with the people down there?
Yeah, I think there
really
are pictures. From what I found, there are pictures, but I'm not sure they're real pictures. Especially in 2025, they could be AI pictures. I didn't want to show them and say, "Here's the theater," because I'm not sure they actually released pictures of it. I'll see if I can find anything. But yeah, fire stuff. We're here with James Salcedo tonight. We're talking this space underneath Paris, the catacombs of Paris. Supposedly 150 miles of tunnels, over 6 million skeletons down there. And is there such a thing as a super haunted place or a superliminal space? And we've already caught one secret society doing weird stuff down there. And only a very small percentage of this is open to the public. Do you think there are more secret societies in the catacombs of Paris as yet undiscovered? That's what's on my mind tonight. We're talking about all manner of wild things. Love to hear your thoughts on this if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. What do you know about it? What does super haunted mean? What does superliminal mean? Do you think there are more secret societies creeping around beneath Paris? And what would we expect to find if we pulled a full-on expedition? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way. We got Mr. Mission Control coming up. More from James and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Beneath the stone whispers come alive. Shadows of the brothers here to bright. In silence we weave our twisted fate. The fifth door awaits. Don't be late. Secrets buried deep behind the veil. In the catacombs our tales prevail. We gather in the dark, hidden from the lights. Brotherhood of the fifth, lurking out of sight. Echoes from the past haunt us like a ghost. In corridors of bone, we are what we boast. With every secret passage, hope fades away. The heart of Paris, where shadows play. Lost souls resonate through colder breath. Lost souls resonate through colder breath. Underneath the city lies our quest for death. In the echoes, hear the whispers call. Daring souls come to know it all. We gather in the dark, hidden from the lights. Brotherhood of the fifth, lurking out of sight. Echoes from the past haunt us like a ghost. In corridors of bone, we are what we boast. In silence we strike, no one will hear. The Brotherhood thrives on the edge of fear. In shadows we dance with our solemn lies. The truth is our weapon beneath the skies. We gather in the dark, hidden from the light. Brotherhood of the fifth, lurking out of sight. Echoes from the past haunt us like a ghost. In corridors of bone, we are what we boast. With lanterns low, we navigate the maze. The city's heartbeat echoes in this haze. Veiled in shadows, we've made our home in the labyrinth's grasp. Together we roam, we gather in the dark, hidden from the light. Brotherhood of the fifth, lurking out of sight. Wielding truth.
Hello, friends. I didn't get a chance to properly fade that one. What's up, JJ, Jeff, and Wesco? Molly's here. What's up, Mephisto? We got Roving Fungus. What's up, Apot, Gaston, Daryl, Sweets, Jorge, Hirsch, MJ, and Dawn. I see you guys. We got Mr. Mission Control on the phone. Over to Rumble. What's going on? Theo got first. What's up, Hiker? Close second. What's up, Gordo is here. Wait. That was Puff last time. Yeah, Puff. Hey, I forgot to shout out your generous tip at the end of last show. I caught it too late, so thank you very much for that. I wanted to say it before I forgot. Yes, thank you again. Thank you again. Yeah, apparently you can tip on Rumble, which keeps happening. So thank you for that. Appreciate it very much. Margie's here. Says that Celia, how you doing? What's up, Theo? Who'd I miss? If I missed anybody, Gordo, Theo, what's up, Puff? Thank you again. I see you guys. Okay, who'd I miss? Let's go to YouTube. Stephen England, Ari the Cat, what's going on, guys? Fred is here. RC, how you doing? Temple of the Owl, what's up, Matt? What's going on? Hello, good evening. All right, I think I ran out of time. We'll circle back and get you in a moment here. Stephen England, we got Mr. Mission Control and your calls coming up. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, let me pull up my little sheet here. Could secret rites beneath Paris still echo through time, shaping the minds of the curious and the bold? Could bones remember? Mirrors watch, and machines unknowingly become gateways to something ancient and unspoken. And of course, if the doors between worlds exist, the real question isn't where they are, it's whether we've walked through them without even knowing it. And in this particular case, the catacombs in Paris certainly would be one of those super haunted places, superliminal spaces. And we just had a show about rituals and that whole thing. Imagine having some sort of esoteric knowledge where you could do some wild ritual, but then doing it in a place like this. 6 million souls, the remnants, the remains of such, in one place underground that has been undisturbed for a very long time. Weird, right? I wonder if they're actually down there experimenting. And maybe this is the disclosure we deserve. Love to hear your thoughts. Anything on that, James? We're going to get weird. Don't worry. We'll get to the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door, and I'll explain what all that means. It is Pearl Jam related. It is the song Black, which fits, and it is all 5 horizons, but we'll get to that momentarily. James, anything on that, and we'll go to Mr. Mission Control on the phone.
Oh, that's amazing. It's always wild when songs kind of reference things and you have no idea what it means unless you do some research. Yeah, that's. I was looking around a little bit online there in the break, and people have apparently gotten lost in those catacombs. Usually they come out okay, but they're just so big and everything. And yeah, I wondered also about just the effect of just looking at. I mean, just seeing all those bones, even if, let's say, you don't want to believe there's anything such thing as a haunting. If you just start to look at all that, I wonder if you can sort of just creep yourself out, just thinking about that as it is, your own thoughts and everything, and that can lead to other anomalous things happening while you're there, even just from your own energy and your own thoughts.
Yeah, not only that, we've talked extensively on this show about the doorway effect. So clearly in a catacomb, it's going to be nothing but that. I mean, you're twisting, turning this way and walking through archways and new tunnels. And I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be down there and trying to find your way around. And then imagine, you take a left turn, you take a right turn, and then you completely lose your party or your guide, whoever's down there with you. I mean, think about how spooky that would be. And then you start moving in a particular direction, thinking you're heading back to find them, and it gets quieter and darker. And no, thank you. Absolutely.
Well, it's a giant closet. It's a giant, massive closet. And think about all the weirdness that happens in closets with paranormal stuff. It's a giant, place with, until you find it, only one way in or one way out, as far as you can tell sometimes.
Exactly.
Unless you do explore the whole thing. So, yeah.
Good luck. Like I said, and I especially want to hear from you tonight if anybody has been there. What can you describe about the place? Is it superliminal, as we're describing? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Mr. Mission Control. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the joint. Welcome back. How are you, sir? What's on your mind tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Troubled Minds fam. How you doing?
Good.
Good, I see.
Good. No complaints out of me.
Well, I want to draw the eye back over here because in Franklin County, they're wanting to build a proposed prison, right? We all know prisons are haunted anyway, eventually. So come to find out, the Chickamauga tribe has people supposedly buried there, and they raised a big ire about it in the news. Well, the prison department, said, okay, well, we're going to conduct excavations there, right? And they're like, wait, no, we don't want you digging up the place at all, And so now we haven't heard nothing about it on the news. Well, we're supposed to be getting mental health facilities up in the northern part of Arkansas instead of a new prison, and so how that goes. But and so the potential from the Paleo Indians being buried, the mound builders around up to current Osage tribes around here being buried in some mounds right down the street from me. In fact, what's the potential? So I'm wondering what their architecture, if they go ahead and build that prison on top of Indian burial grounds, what the architecture going to be like, and who's going to be willing to go to that prison there in Franklin County if they do build it on top of Indian burial grounds, or even in the vicinity of burial grounds, because those burial grounds are ancestral and have been known for thousands of years with those people. So not only those, but we know that the further down you dig here lately, we've been finding more and more stuff.
Yeah.
So now I don't know about it. I'll have to look into this fifth door thing you talked about, but yeah, we know Europe is filled with catacombs, and like what's happening out in L.A., we know that there's a underground there, not necessarily catacombs, but we know there's some underground there. I've got some interesting things about some flights coming in from out of the country going into L.A. the past few days, but anyway, yeah. I've roamed these Ozarks my whole life, and you know how I am. I'm a conduit. I've dealt with these spirits, and some of them, the older ones, the Paleo Indian ones, are real. They're different than the orbs and stuff. They're different because we don't necessarily transmutate into those orb things that we're seeing in some of these other places, like Lisa down there, Waking God's Child, has, and whether she manifests in those or not. I think from where she lives, because of all the stuff that happened there, where she lives, and what happened to her with the black goo and stuff, she might be manifesting them, and they're natural. But I think they're Paleo Indian spirits, because there are different species, not a different species, but a different, which you got species and, not genera, but, kind of like us and a Neanderthal, a breakaway species. But when they died, their energy turned into something, maybe because it was because of the geomagnetic field at the time, or something, like what we're probably going back into, because, right now, you get guys getting electrical signals off their fishing poles and holding testers up at 8 foot in the air and getting electrical impulses. So it's changing back to where it was, where that old free energy come back. But yeah, that's interesting that they're doing going down them catacombs over there and performing rituals and getting people lost. But
yeah, fixing stuff
that's
up.
been going on for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So the question for you then, do you think there is a difference between, let's say, a very haunted place and a super haunted place? If we're literally talking 150 miles, 6 million skeletons down there, would you expect to, let's say, doing some sort of ritual magic in that particular place, or anything like that? Or
I would not suggest it. Because the potential to get lost, as James was talking about, is very real. If not in your own mind, as far as getting possessed with, like, instead of 1 or 2 spirits, 5,000, spirits. Like, I wouldn't walk into anywhere near that. I would smell it as I approached it, and there are big burial grounds around here in the Ozarks in North America, but not like over there in Europe, where there's been more people over time here recently. But not necessarily. I mean, there probably was a bunch over here too, but like they're way down under the layers more. So I mean, we'd have to get down there again. We have to dig into the catacombs, make their own catacombs. But
yeah, totally.
I wouldn't suggest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest doing. They're messing with something. Like you go down there and not come back up, or not come back up the same.
Which is the point.
Bring something out.
Which is the point. And so they say that one of the most haunted places in North America is Gettysburg also. So that's sort of the thing that came to my mind as I was thinking about this and putting this show together. I'm like, so would we have anything here that was maybe similar? And all I could think of were these battlefields where we had a ton of souls pass on in one particular place, tons of trauma, tons of suffering, just tons of just the grotesquerie of war happening in the blood-soaked space. So, and it's been widely covered that there's, orbs and, ghosts and all kinds of weird experiences happen in Gettysburg for that exact reason. But now we've got that same idea sort of, except we're taking, these skeletons from other cemeteries and moving them post burial when they're supposed to, quote, rest in peace, and then moving them down and like basically making decorations out of them. I mean, pillars of bone. It's crazy.
Yeah, the liminal orbs. Liminal orbs are, like the spirits that are just hanging there. The other ghosts and stuff that will would come into me if I go through old places like Eureka or something, would jump into me. I'd have a hard time getting rid of them because they want to work out. But before they leave, they want to work out what was, deal with their stuff, and then they disappear. But it'd be weeks. I'd be not myself, I'd know something was up in me that I picked up. But, there's a difference between just the liminal spirit orbs and then these ones that want to work out their trauma or that's a reverberation of that traumatic event and all those spirits releasing all the people leaving their bodies, and that being, recorded in the limestone or water or the area, the ley lines and stuff like that, and have it be like a magnetic tape replayed. We've discussed all that stuff, all the different types of hauntings and spirits and orbs and stuff like that. We know the potentialities behind that. But like you say, if you get into a place like what you're talking about, it's all there, and you have to either be ignorant or just like I said, I am versed my whole life in this stuff, and I wouldn't walk into something like that. No, I would not advise it. So
yeah, I would definitely take I don't know, precautions, whatever that means, and bring that.
There ain't none for that.
Yeah, I think you may be right.
I don't think there is.
I think you may be right. Yeah, wild stuff.
There might be, if you go to Franklin County Prison over the Chickamauga burial grounds, there might be some precautions you could take for that, but I don't think there is for what you're talking about there, Bubba.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you go.
You're the best, brother. Appreciate the call. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for staying up late with us, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Much love, everybody.
You too, my man. That's Mr. Mission Control. You know him, you love him. Been a good friend for a long time, and he keeps getting banned on YouTube. Apparently, he's back. His actual channel's back. And oh, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure why I can't. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to jinx myself. Appreciate the call. Yes, that's the point. What does superliminal mean? What does super haunted mean? And can you think of something similar in North America? Gettysburg, like I said, comes to mind. I'm sure there were probably some older native battles that happened that were really horrific. I'm sure something like that comes to mind. But maybe that stuff is lost to history at this point. Like a lot of that, the really, really gruesome stuff. Not that it has to be that way, but you know what I mean? That's really where a lot of this trauma sort of flows through and turns you into a connoisseur of history and recognizing that atrocities continue to happen over and over again, including up to the current day, much to the chagrin of myself and many of us that pay attention to the news cycles. It's grotesque, but this is the world we live in. James, anything on that? We're taking your calls if you guys want to be part of the conversation. Nobody on the line if you want to jump in here. Jorge, if you got a minute, I'd love to hear your take on this as well, because we talked about the Abramelin ritual. I wonder if doing stuff like that in this place would change anything at all. That's really my question as part of tonight. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, anything on what Mr. Mission Control said there? Lots to talk about.
Yeah, there is. It's something, now I'm not sure how to say it. someone in the chat, Izoxy, or I'm terrible at saying names sometimes.
I say Ioxy.
Mentioned that, basically that everywhere in the world, there's, no matter where you go in the world, someone has probably passed away at that location at some point in the history of the planet. So if you look at it that way, everywhere could potentially be haunted. And I do hear so many accounts of just weird things happening in factories, in grocery stores, in schools, and just every kind of building you want to think of, any kind of location out in nature. Just anomalies happen everywhere. So I do think there is something to that. But I do think there are places where, either because of terrible wars or battles or loss of life all in one moment, or one day, or one period of time like that, I can see that having lasting effects on places too, like you mentioned, Gettysburg, and there's other battlefields in the U.S. as well that I've heard have activity, but Gettysburg is probably the most famous among all those. But yeah, the fact of having that many people, and like you mentioned too, it's a good point that the catacombs did not start out. They weren't all put there to begin with. They were moved. And for a lot of people, throughout time, that has been a big deal. That's something you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to disturb anyone once they have been put in the ground, and you're not supposed to move them. But of course, in that case, due to health and survival of the people in the area, because of all the lack of modern, or at least lack of even current at the time, systems of sort of keeping things clean for everyone, they had to do that. They had to move the remains. And so it really is tricky, because you can see both sides of that. But if you're already a spirit, so to speak, again, speaking just in concepts here, and you get moved, and I can understand people really not caring why they were moved, or them sort of being woken up, so to speak, again, concepts here, and they figure out why they were moved and everything, but they're awake, they're restless, and who knows how that works to where they can rest again. I don't know, because I'm not a spirit as of now, so hard it's possible to know as of yet.
Indeed. Well said, all that. I just want to point this out, that as usual, there's some really weird stuff to this when you look at the catacombs in Paris, and particularly that they were, was it limestone quarries, I believe? It says stone quarries here. But so they extend south from I'm not going to say the French, because literally, pardon my French, but the English translation is they extend south from the Gate of Hell, the former city gate. That's what it's actually called. The ossuary was created as part of the effort to eliminate the effects of the city's overflowing cemeteries, blah, 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 1774. And the Innocent Cemetery, the Holy Innocent Cemetery, Les Innocents, I believe is how you say that. And wildly enough, this is very Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, when you think of the catacombs and the skeletons coming to life, and, the seventh voyage of Sinbad, and, are there places like that exist on Earth? I'll bet you if you went down in those catacombs, I'm not saying the skeletons are going to come to life. I'm saying that it would very much echo exactly that idea of a haunted tomb, an old burial place. That, anyway, okay. So just I'll layer some of this as we go. I don't want to cut Jorge short. Please type to me, Jorge. We got about 5-6 minutes left if you want to be quick. If not, I'll save you till the top of the hour and just make you wait a little bit, and then you got as much time as you need. Let me know about that, and then we'll do that. I'll fill a little gap here in the meantime. And let's see, what are we missing? Go to my notes real quick. One moment, please. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. So we started with this. We started with the catacombs of Paris. We went to this underground group, this underground organization called the Urban Experiment. Something to that effect is what they call themselves. Again, it's in French, but they were improving hidden corners of Paris, a true modern secret society. And they built, they repaired and restored the clock at the Pantheon. and built a cinema complete with a bar and a restaurant in a section of the Paris catacombs underneath the Trocadero. Again, pardon my French. Restoring medieval crypts, staging plays, and reading in monuments after dark. And so the question becomes, in this particular place, this space that we're dealing with, how many more actual underground groups are what's happening down there? I mean, 150 miles is a long way. That's 6 million bones. The bones of 6 million people is massive. So what the hell do you think is going on down there? And here's the other question as part of it. So the story of Les UX, again, the urban experiment. All the links are in the description if you want to follow up on this part, because I am this part I'm not making up. When I get to the part I'm about to make up, I'll tell you. But so here we go. So the story of Les UX and the underground cinema and the Pantheon, the secret restoration of the Pantheon clock by a splinter sect of this urban experiment that got away with it for years. Nobody knew they were doing it until they finally got caught when they fixed the clock, after they fixed the clock. But what about this? So were these particular things we're talking about symbolic? Were they white hat secret societies? Were they actually doing what meets the eye? But beyond that, the next question of it is, were these actually instead rituals disguised as activism in some sort? And what haven't they found down there? Roving Fungus earlier said that he read something about like kids having raves down there in these catacombs beneath Paris, right? Like, what? that seems fine. That seems fine, right? Get hopped up on MDMA and play some loud music and let's wake the ancestors up. I mean, yeah, go ahead, James. Oh, my goodness.
No, I was gonna say I've heard about people doing that too. I've heard of there being again events down there that people go down there and they find this huge event going on. They don't really want to get involved because they don't know anyone that's there, and they don't know if they're supposed to be there or not, and so they just keep going or go back. So I heard of that as well. Yeah, I don't know. Also with the clock, there you go. I found my lost thought. The clock is fascinating because if you want to go with the idea of there being rituals done down there, I've heard, and I don't know a lot about this. I think people like Matt Sowell or others in the chat might know more, but some rituals, some magic does rely on doing things, doing parts of the ceremonies or all of the ceremonies at certain times and on certain days. And so I wonder, again, I don't know the group, so I obviously can't say, but also fixing the clock could have been more than just a public service.
Yeah. And to clarify, they're not in the same place. They're in different parts of Paris. I've never been there. I was looking at a map because that was my first thing. I was like, okay, this is on a river, right? Shout out river. I was like, this has got to be on a river. And it's not. It's actually not. So it's a ways south, not really in the center of France where the catacombs are. Anyway, so yeah, that becomes the weird part. And what are we missing down there? Again, 150 miles of catacombs is massive. If anybody's ever spent some time in caves, there's this beautiful place in Northern California, the Oregon border, just into Oregon, called the Lava Beds National Monument. And it's caves. It's lava caves that were actually used by the Modoc Indian way back. And even they used it and held out against the post-Civil War Union Army in these caves for longer than people ever expected them to. But it's one of those things where we, as kids, we were able to kind of, go get lost in these things. I mean, it wasn't like that. It wasn't dangerous, but it certainly was that danger in the back of your head that if you turn left and then turn right and then get disoriented, that you really might get stuck and might not be able to find your way back. So clearly the more dangerous caves, of course, they had, roped off and you had to get guides and stuff to go down in there. But still, as a kid with like a dying 80s flashlight, late 80s flashlight, like think 1989, remember those big old flashlights with the big old batteries that never really worked very well? Yeah, get your ass in the cave, kid. Have fun. We'll see you in 20 minutes, right? Like, ooh, okay. I'm sure this is going to be fine. But I want to point this out too. This group the actual less UX, the urban experiment that did this. So with it started in September 1981, this is wild. The founders of the group stole plans of the many underground passageways and tunnels for which Paris is famous. Using this information as a base, the group of anonymous artists and citizens has since restored much of Paris's underground infrastructure, including, as we were saying, the Pantheon clock, which chimed for the first time in many years after its repair. Wouldn't that be spooky, thinking the thing was broken? It just starts chiming one day on a Sunday at noon. Like, this is fine. The group is also responsible for over a dozen other projects, including those which the French government have not chosen to do or which they lack funds. Yes, the government always lacking funds, except for the things that really matter. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. right. Don't get me started, James. Don't even bring up Nick Cage, or I'll lose it. I will absolutely lose it. Don't do it. Taxes, healthcare, and Nick Cage. I can't do it. I'll lose my mind. Anyway, so I just don't like Nick Cage as an actor. But also taxes and healthcare, the way they do them suck. But there you go. Anyway, so what's your thought here? Is there such a thing as a superliminal space in this regard? What about a super haunting? What about rituals in these particular places? And how weird does this get? We're talking about secret societies in 2025 that have been proven to exist. What else is buried in the catacombs beneath Paris? Once again, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037 and click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Jorge, coming up. Thank you for calling. I appreciate you very much. I wanted to hear more about the ritual stuff, but now we can hear more from Jorge talking about rituals in this context as well. Hop on in here. Love to hear what you think about this. It gets weird because, of course, it's a weird subject. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. Be right back.
Drifting through the quantum haze. Mind entangled in a daze. Whispers in the neural mist. Echoes of what might exist. Lost in time in this web we spin. It's alright beyond our skin. Consciousness forever twined in the dark unseen. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Frequencies that pull us in. Parallel worlds kept within. Synapses that intertwine. Fragments of an endless line. Feel the pulse of a distant star. It's alright, we are who we are. In the void we find the light in tangled hearts. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. In the silence, hear the call. One by one, we rise and fall. Quantum minds forever near. In this world so clear. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Dark energy in the depths we find. Mysteries of the human mind. Particles that drift afar. Whispers of who we are. Hold the thread of the great unknown. It's alright, we are never alone. Flow through time on currents thin. universe is found within. Feel the echoes of the past. In this moment, futures cast. Through the veil of the space between. It's alright, life's a lucid dream.
Hello, friends. Hope you're well tonight. What's up, Eric? Derek and Derek. It rhymes. I'm a poet. I don't even know it. Eric and Derek. What's up, JJ, Jeff, and Wisco? What's up, Mephisto, Apot, Gaston, Sweets, Jorge coming up. You guys, much time as you need. Jorge, thanks for being patient. We got Rowing Fungus. Thanks for the great comments. Herschel, what's up, MJ, Dawn, and Molly? I see you guys. Hope you're well tonight. If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. And we got more coming up. I don't know. Superliminal, Super Haunted. Only 108 today, says Fred. Yeah, we were like 105. It's middle of June. Here we go. Strap in. Early June, not even middle yet. What's up? What's up? Who'd I miss? Sweets, Fred. What's up? Dawn, Lily in Australia. How are you? Good evening, guys. Mr. Mission Control, thanks for the call. Fire stuff as usual. What is happening? Hello, hello. Good evening, Ioxy. Harry the Cat, Stephen England, Roving Fungus. What's up, Kelly? RC is here. What's happening, folks, from the top? Who'd I get? Richard in Texas. What's up, Shane? Yeah, Shane, you're allowed to go. You're allowed to go whenever you need to go, Shane. You're killing me, bro. What else? Steve says I was in Paris last year. Sweet. That's the good part of living kind of in Europe up there. A lot of places that are very close that you can see. Okay, here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. Hope you're well tonight. I'll come circle back to Rumble and catch everybody over there when we get back from the other part of the break there. I think we're good with North Vixen. I see Theo. Okay, here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. Jorge coming up and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network and, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about the Paris catacombs. Could secret rites beneath Paris still echo through time, shaping the minds of the curious and the bold? We'll leave it at that. There's a lot more there, but we've got Jorge waiting to talk about this. And the question tonight is, there's many, obviously. When you're doing this right, there's many questions as part of these concepts. But we started with haunting, super haunting, liminal, superliminal, this moving 6 million skeletons and putting them in the catacombs beneath. Literally, as James was saying, doing what we're told not to do is disturb the slumber of our ancestors in eternal sleep, right? But we're just, digging them up and moving them to the spot altogether. I don't know. It's weird. It feels as if we shouldn't be doing it. I don't know. It's too late now, and nobody asked me back in 1830 or whenever they were doing this. But love to hear your thoughts on this. A lot of ways to look at it. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Jorge, thank you for being patient, my man. And again, sorry to cut you off that last time too. Your call was fire. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's on your mind? Take it anywhere you like with regard to the ritual stuff, the super haunting, the catacombs of Paris. As you know, all yours, brother. Welcome to the joint.
Well, you call me out, brother, so I'm calling you because you call me out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Because your last call was so fired, it fits into this. I'll ask you the question in a moment. So if you want to take it there, go ahead. If not, what else you got? Go ahead. Instead of me jumping right on with a question.
As far as rituals, there are not that many rituals that are supposed to that I know they're not supposed to take place inside of catacombs. There have been a few Masonic lodges who have done magic. I know this is kind of controversial because Masons are not supposed to do magic, but they did magic, especially in Paris. There were a couple of organizations in France that were Masonic, but they're also magicians. One was called the unspoken. The other one was the Martinist. The Martinists still exist, and they do still magic, but they're considered a Masonic organization. The Eluskohen doesn't exist anymore, but it comes from a very famous Masonic motto, which is vitriol, like Vitriol. It basically means in Latin, it stands for Visita Interior Terra Rectificado Inguinies Occultum Lapidem. which basically means visit the interior of the earth and you shall be purified, where you will find a hidden stone. Something like that. And so that is like a very Masonic thing. But to be honest, I've never heard of the Masons conducting lodge in those catacombs, or even the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn was there for a while. The Golden Dawn is one of the most famous, like pseudo-Masonic, 100% magical schools. McGregor Mathers was the greatest magician of our time. He basically designed the tarot deck that we have today, which is called the Rider-Waite, and even the Thoth deck, which is a Crowley deck. So McGregor Mathers was with Crowley there in Paris in the beginning of the 1900s. They did a lot of cool stuff, but I never heard of them being in those catacombs. I was there 5 years ago, when they have the skulls. It's cool. It's a cool ride, but didn't feel anything special or anything of note. But they're certainly quite interesting. But yeah, I know that the French young men go down there and they do their parkour and they do raves and different types of parties. That's what I know about these catacombs, my brother.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's the weird part, right? Do you think that there is sort of that ancestral memory here in some way? Because again, 6 million skeletons is a lot of damn skeletons, and 150 miles of as modern, unexplored at this point, because it's been sectioned off. And if they don't have the money to fix the toilets, they certainly don't have the money to fix the catacombs. That's a fact. So what the hell is actually going on down there? Do you think that there is maybe something that would scare the hell out of all of us? Maybe some of these death cult or something being drawn to this particular place. And I got a question about Crowley in a second too as well. But what's your take on that? Do you think that? How about this as part of that question as well? Do you think it is let's say a ritual place where you could supercharge, let's say that energy from the ancestors? Do you think that's a thing, or do you think it's so inert at this point because the skeletons have sort of had their burial and they've moved on or whatever? You see what I'm saying? In terms of sort of not necessarily haunting, but residual human energy. What's your take on that?
Yeah, you're talking about necromancy, right? That's kind of where you're going to.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, the story, as the French people have it, or at least as the folk legend, no one knows how really were those catacombs made. But the story as to how those skulls, or which is like the main part of the catacombs. Most catacombs are just empty. But the story of the skulls was that I guess there was a plague a long time ago, and so they didn't know where to put them, and they didn't want to drag them out of Paris, because by this time Paris was big, and also they were afraid that the plague was gonna infect people, and so they just started burying the bodies down there. Just piled them up down there, and eventually the plague went away, and people became curious, and they were found out that there were thousands of skulls down there, and so they were piling them up and made them into the cute museum that's down there. But as far as rituals, I've never heard of rituals being performed. And in fact, rituals require the stars. Or not the stars, the planets, and the moon particularly. But necromancy, you can conduct, just with clothing, or you can follow the skull and bones theories, where it requires the skull of a particular person for you to be able to conduct a necromantic ritual. But necromancy can be usually performed with water bowls, it's called scrying, or now with the Solomonic triangle, the Solomonic square, where you either invoke the death or invoke particular demon or spirit or angel to be able to gather information. So the literature doesn't really quite demonstrate that you need to be inside of catacombs with skulls for you to perform necromancy. The Greek stuff, which has the most of the Greek magical papyri, has the most necromantic rituals out of all of them. There is no descriptions of catacombs. There's just descriptions of mostly water bowls. And we have the triangles of Hecate, which were obviously used for necromantic purposes. They had a little piece of obsidian in the center. So obviously they were using it kind of like the water bowl. The obsidian was basically a way that they could communicate with the dead. because the rituals of Hecate, it's kind of like rituals for the dead or of the dead to obtain certain pieces of information. But I don't know, but you cannot really see anything inside of a catacomb.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. You need some torches. You need some infravision if you're a Dungeons and Dragons fan. You need to be able to see in the dark. And I don't know, like the thing that fascinates the hell out me out of this is that there's so much sort of forgotten space here, and it is the biggest mass burial. I mean, you could probably go to some of these other horrific things, not just battlefields, but think World War II, some of these, particular camps, not even going to invoke it, but where there's a lot of this too, except it's different because these are cemeteries, graveyards that were above ground, and they dug them up and brought them underground. And that's why there's so many down there, because they did this for so long, because they thought that, and rightly so. I mean, you do sloppy burials and things rot and fester, and people get sick, and it's not the best. And so with the imperfect understanding of science and the rest of that, it's I don't know, like isn't it, as James was describing, one of the worst things to do is to disturb the grave of the ancestor? And this is like 6 million of them. You see what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. But we do that all the time. It's like, I don't know. There was like that curse of Tutankhamun. That was kind of interesting. For like all the people that broke into his grave, and it said whoever breaks in here shall get a horrible curse. And everybody was dead within like a year or two, like in horrible ways. That's certainly like a curse, but I think that has to do with the dead person's daimons or familiars, or like we were calling, what is that? Oh man, that's driving me nuts. What is that guy from the Matrix? Not Tupac. What is it? APOC. APOC. That was his name.
Is it APOC? Shout out APOC in the chat.
Their APOC. Like their APOC is the one that guards them. And so I'm pretty sure Tutankhamun's APOC was still probably roaming around. He was the one that caused that. At least that is my theory. But most of us don't have an APOC. And so, nothing's going to happen. Like I went down there and I touched some of the skulls and I took some pictures with the skulls, and I'm still alive. Nothing happened to me. And the kids down there, that do their raves and do crazy stuff down there, they're still alive. Nobody has said anything about a curse or anything. So it's like, it's chill. In fact, you go down there, have a good time.
for a good time. Go down to the catacombs. I was going to make a worse joke, but I'm glad I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's odd to me. This is really odd to me, this whole thing, and that it's been again something that we've never talked about this directly on Troubled Minds, which is weird, because you would think, again, you don't have to believe in haunting to have this discussion. Like, think conceptual haunting. Don't you think this would be one of the most haunted places on Earth? It seems like that to me, anyway.
I could tell you more haunted places that I've been in. So because these people didn't die there; they just took them there. And my understanding is that they didn't die in horrible ways. But the haunted, like the places that are haunted, is like, I don't know if you know about this, but like in Mexico, about 4 months ago, they just found a ranch where they basically made people do the most unthinkable things that your mind could even picture and more. And now that place is haunted. And the moms that were looking for their kids who went missing, they can tell you that place had the worst vibes in the world. Because it's like, there was like, they forced them to do cannibalism. They forced them to like fight each other. I mean, like, I don't even know how worse do I have to tell you. It's just like, it was horrible what was happening in that ranch. And that's where their kids died. And sometimes they even like put them in like some kind of soda. What is that called? Kind of like a nitric soda to dissolve their bodies. But the mom said is like, that is like the worst vibe ever. Those types of places are haunted, and there are a lot of those in Mexico. But these places, like, it's like those people just died, from the plague. and they probably died in peace. So they were all right. Like, but mostly when like people die from like on untimely death in an unfair way, I think that is the place. Those are the places that are truly, truly haunted.
I see. So sort of disturbing the ancestors here isn't necessarily going to wake them up or bring them back or re-haunt or anything to that effect. I mean, and you're right. I think it does stand to reason in that regard that they're doing raves down there. I mean, like
yeah, and then and there are people, in Mexico, there are people that talk to the dead. There's like Mexico is so full of magic, and there is like some people that actually do, in fact, like they have proven that they can talk to the dead. One of them is I'll tell you stories. It's like I'm telling you stories. There's a guy who helps the mothers find their kids, and so the mom gave the dude that talks to the dead, I think, like a shirt. And then it's like, can you please talk to him? Like, where do you want to find his body, or where they want to find out if he's alive, or like, please help me find my son. And there are like thousands of mothers like this in Mexico. And the guy grabs the shirt. He charges her like a little bit of money, not a lot. He doesn't say how much. And then he tells her that his son's body is inside of a truck behind this jail. And then she goes to the jail, and she asked the people at the jail, is there a truck behind your building? And then the people is like, no, there's no truck. But then these nurse kind of felt sorry for her and caught her outside the building and told her, it's like, yeah, there is a truck outside the building. He's like, I don't know how you knew this, but it's like, you should go, there's a truck. So if you're looking for somebody, like, you should go look right now, because they're going to take the truck in a few hours. And she goes to the truck, and she finds her son's pants and shoes. The body's mutilated. And so she corroborated the fact that this guy told her that, exactly what the son was trying to tell him, that, he died an untimely death, and he died by torture, and that his body was there. And so she took what little pieces of his body were there, and she buried him. And she felt very happy about the fact that she was able to give him a Christian burial, which is kind of like a very Mexican or Spanish or Catholic thing to do. It's like, they find a little bit of the bodies, they're grateful because they're able to finally know that they're dead and they're not suffering anymore. And there's so many stories like that in Mexico. And those are the souls that really, come haunting and bother people. Particularly, these are stories that are told by those people that talk to the dead. Like those people that talk to the dead, they said it's like when they, when people live peaceful lives and they live the peaceful death, they don't come back. They just kind of go on their way and whatever it is that they go.
But it's the trauma and the injustice of the passing or shortchanged time-wise because of violence, or which creates the most haunted places, is what you're really saying here.
That's what they say, yeah. But like, I don't know. I don't talk to dead people, but that's what those people say, and the mothers say, and you also can also feel it. It's like if you go to places where, like, for example, when I go to like Mexico City to Templo Mayor, I could feel like the anguish of like the dying of a culture, of a civilization. It's like I can feel what those people felt. But when I go to places like in Paris, where like people you have bodies there that died peacefully, it's like it feels normal, feels like a whatever type of place. It's like you're walking through a cemetery. There are certain places on Earth that have a very, very nasty feeling. You can feel the anguish and the desperation still going on.
Okay, I follow you. I was actually in the Pentagon where the plane hit. They've built a chapel there. It was a really heavy feeling. There was nobody in there. It was quiet, and I don't know. It's strange, right? Like for an agnostic individual to kind of walk into a space and feel the heavy air. Like you can't really quantify it. It's weird. You can describe it afterward, but like, how do you pull out a thermometer and check the temperature or something? It's just bizarre. And I do believe there's some kind of that type of thing with with as you're describing, in some degree. I don't know. I think it's some of it might be quote paranormal, but some of it might be, as I always say, as yet undiscovered science of the soul, or who knows? I mean, there's a lot here. Yeah, fire stuff, brother. I appreciate you jumping in here. Didn't mean to call you out like that. I just your call last time and this time, so amazing, so amazing.
Your hard time.
Yeah, no.
I appreciate what you do. Brother. I'm glad to jump in and talk about this cool stuff with you. I was just kidding.
Okay, fair enough. And glad to have you as well. Got another thought on this? I got something I want to get to, so I want to leave a few minutes at the bottom of the hour so I can reintroduce this next thing, because we're going to get into the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door coming up. But any final thought on this? And I appreciate you jumping in here and helping us out per usual.
No, I'm good, brother. Unless you have another question, I'm good.
I think we're good. Ritual stuff. We got to circle back to the Aubrey Mellon stuff. Actually, I do have a question, and this came out of the Rumble chat when you were telling us about the Aubrey Mellon rituals. Go back and listen to the last episode if you guys don't know what we're talking about. I'm not going to do the whole story arc here. But do you think that the rats that kind of defiled the altar, you think there was something metaphysical to that? As somebody said, those weren't rats, those were demons. I think YY said that over there. You think there was something to it, like spoiled intentionally?
Well, if that Abramelin ritual is not just the final revelation. The Abramelin ritual, you have little revelations along the way. Like I was able to see smoke that turned into shapes. I could smell somebody next to me. Like I could hear like sometimes like voices. So I don't know about the rats, because the rats just showed up in the middle of the night, and I just like when I was supposed to do my morning prayer, which was the last prayer, there was like shit all over. So I don't know why were they there, but yeah, there's like you get into a mode, you get into a mode of like like a spiritual connection. And you're obviously entering a spiritual community as you're doing the ritual, and so it's like you can sense it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can hear it. Sometimes you can see it in the smoke of the incense, So I don't know if they were demons, but the ritual, that ritual is very powerful, sure.
So we'll leave the possibility open. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you popping in here. Always a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your experience and for sharing yourself with us. And have a great night. Appreciate the call.
Right on. You too, bro. Thank you.
You're the best. You know we love him. Jorge. Thank you. Jorge on the Discord. Sorry about that. I cut you off there. Jorge on the Discord. Please join the Discord. Come meet these amazing people. That's why we do this. That's why there's a community and not just me rambling on. I can definitely ramble, but look how much wisdom we get from all these incredible folks. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link right on top. You can't miss it. It's the big blue button over there on the right that way. And yeah, come tell Jorge great stuff and tell everybody else while you're there, and just be nice. That's it. Let's be nice. All right. James, you get the final minute. Let me do a couple things here real quick. So as we lead into this, I'm going to get us into the fifth door. All right. The Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. Now, this is a fictional concept of a cult that might be doing stuff beneath the catacombs. Okay, just an idea. So this is the part where I'm fibbing to you, all right? And it's based on, of course, that Pearl Jam lyric from Black. The name of the song is Black. I'm going to read it. All five horizons revolved around her soul as the earth to the sun. Links in the description of that song. Check it out. It's very good. But the all five horizons, we were talking about this maybe a month back, 6 weeks back on one of the late night Discord chats. Come join the Discord, come hang out, come say hi. And we were kind of kicking around the idea of what the five horizons are. The five senses, the four cardinal directions plus one. Well, I had an idea. And that's what we'll get into momentarily. The Brotherhood of the Fifth Door, a clandestine secret society working beneath the catacombs or inside the catacombs that haven't been touched in years, doing all manner of workings, necromancy, as Jorge very smartly described, and not just the four cardinal directions or the five senses, something beyond. And I'll explain when we get back. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up, more from James and your calls as well. Thank you, Jorge, for popping in here. Thank you, Mr. Mission Control. Thank you, James. All yours, James. What you got? About a minute and a half. All yours, sir.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Two things. Three things really. Great calls from everyone so far. Also, I wanted to point out something that Dawn said in the chat. Good point there, that different cultures do approach their care of their deceased individuals in different ways. So I'm wondering now, what if maybe those people at that time, again, sort of like what Jorge was describing there, that it wasn't as important to them that they stay buried in the ground, depending on what the culture was like at the time. So I think that's a good possible point there. But also, I do think that this is the amazing thing about all this, is that it's so complicated, because yes, I've heard of places where terrible things happened still having energy. And I've heard of places where nothing terrible happened that we know of also having energy to them, also having paranormal activity and sightings and sounds and things, and not all being negative either, or sad or anything like that. So it really is, that's why I look into all these things, because there's just so much to look into.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing up not the trauma, not the sad. It doesn't always have to be. As usual, if you believe in metaphysical energy, whatever that means to you, define that how you like. Surely there's a positive and a negative. Sort of think of the polarity of a battery. There's gonna be. There's got to be some level of that going on. So yeah, absolutely. It's easy to focus on the negative, and glad to have James to kind of snap me out of that, because sometimes you go a little dark, because it's easier. It's compelling. But also, if that's true, then the inverse can be true, and that honestly is probably, if we're being honest, far more compelling. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Under cover of bone, the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. We'll get to exactly what that means momentarily. We're talking the catacombs in Paris. Is it a superliminal space, or is it super haunted? Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Derek the Night Stalker coming up. More from James. And not sure who that is on the line. Another phone call. Be right back. More on the way.
In a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night, your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried, silent by your, where ancient souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, in silver-etched domain, hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we tried. rise with the morning glow, and the light will come to know. Below the moonlit sky, of the love we try, in the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mine. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when you finally breathe free.
Hell yeah. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. Derek the Night Stalker, more from James and your calls as well. Here we go. Who'd I miss over there? What's up, Margie? YY? Hello, Gordo. All right, here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. Yada, yada, all the things, blah, blah, blah. KUAP Digital Broadcasting, all the platforms, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're talking about, I'm calling it Undercover of Bone, the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. We'll get to exactly what that means momentarily. Now, is it possible that secret societies are flourishing the world over, especially in places that seem obvious? Like in this case, we're talking about the catacombs beneath Paris. Now, we do know of one secret society that has been caught doing renovation work, or actually putting a movie theater down below, which in the catacombs, by the way, which seems insane. The links from the description. It's called, again, short for Urban Experiment, less UX, again, pardon my French. And not only did they do that, they repaired this clock and, again, the Pantheon's clock. And who knows what other stuff they're doing, because it is a true secret society. They identified 4 of them. They charged them with, like fixing stuff, like because they fixed that clock. And then, they was dismissed. So thank goodness for that. Thank goodness there's some sanity in the legal system anywhere. I mean, this was quite a ways ago, but a few years back. But still, at least a judge somewhere has the good sense to be like, why are we doing this, guys? Can we just dismiss this and, tell them, be careful, work with the antiquities bureaus or whatever. And eventually, by the way, too, as sort of a happy ending to this story, the guy that was the main guy that was working on this clock that fixed it, this again, the Pantheon clock in Paris, he actually got hired after the fact to truly actually restore the clock. They're like, well, obviously you know what you're doing. So they gave him a job. Isn't that the best job interview? Break in and do stuff. And they're like, hey, we caught you. You want a job? Why not? Right. Anything on that, James, real quick? We'll go to Derek.
Yeah, that is amazing. I agreed to that judge and everything, but yeah, I mean, it makes me think of how you hear about with hackers and stuff like that, how they we caught you doing this or that or whatever. That was very, very well done. Why don't you join us and that kind of thing, but on a better scale in a way. But yeah, I just wonder about the clock and what things could they keep on working on there that they are good things in general, but they're also, I don't know, I guess maybe a bit of that conspiracy mind has gotten into me after all, where I'm like, what other reasons could there be for doing those things as well? Besides just the making things better and look better and everything.
Yeah. And other than the kids doing the raves down there, who haven't we caught yet? It really becomes the larger question. 150 miles of tunnels is massive. Like I said, if you guys have never been any kind of spelunking at all, yes, that's a word. It's enlightening. And I'll bring it up later, but as part of the conversation, we got Derek waiting. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. I'll spare the music because Derek is on the phone line. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
What's going on, Brutus? Great show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for dipping in here. And again, I like that there's multiple technologies we can employ if something's wonky, but you sound great. What's on your mind with this?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I hadn't really done any research at all into the Paris catacombs, and I really just did some for like 5 minutes while I'm standing in the aisle. So I'm not sure what I got, but I got a couple of weird connections here. I'm not really sure what I think. I kind of agree with Jorge when he's saying that it's not like a death spot in that these people were killed there, were murdered there, they were brought there. So the kind of the psychic scars, the psychic trauma that's left, like that kind of like an imprint on kind of the ether of the environment that's left when a trauma happens. Kind of open a door like a gate, like a Stranger Things. Those tears in reality, kind of. It wouldn't have the same effect there, but I'm also into obviously the mystical spots, the ley line aspect of it. So, and you're talking Gettysburg, and my take for Gettysburg is it's less about the death that occurred there, and more so that the death occurred there because it was a mystical spot in the first place. That the Native Americans used to see like green orbs and all kind of stuff there, like before the battle, and then I think the battle was happened there because it was a mystical spot, like for the ritual, like the bloodletting aspect of it. To it was like a giant ritual basically. And it's also like 150 miles long. So is it like, unless I barely even looked at a map, unless it's like along a ley line like that, I'm not really sure. And or the entrance part of it, I haven't done enough research to know like what the kind of esoteric implications are to the area. But
yeah, I think actually too.
That real quick.
I think it's secret, and that's the point of this kind of group that did it. They stole sort of the plans of some of this, what we know about the catacombs themselves, and were able to kind of sneak in where the authorities weren't watching. So it's not public. So I think to really know that answer, you'd have to break into some museum and steal their maps. Which sounds like a great field trip. If you ever want to do that, let me know. And we'll try that one day.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely rituals that are happening there. I'm sure of it, just because it is a creepy, weird place, and there's creepy, weird people who are going to sneak in and spray paint like satanic, like thing, just like weird, like teenagers and stuff. Not even ones that are actually practicing real magic, but just kind of the edgelord type goth people. That's just you'll find that in any abandoned area and stuff. Like there was There was that episode of Rogan when he had that like snake hunter guy come on. I forget his name, but he had like a creepy story about when he was going into this old GPL factory to like hunt for snakes or something like that. And he saw like this weird kind of like GPL is where this Jack Parsons rocket factory and stuff. And this factory hasn't been used in decades, but he was sneaking in. But he found like weird kind of like ritual stuff in there, like all kind of like dolls that are kind of like mutilated and stuff, and blood and weird things, and kind of creepy looking snakes he found in there and stuff. But essentially it was like this empty factory that possibly had connections to mystical area, because like that Parsons put it there. But basically it's just an empty factory, and weird satanic stuff was going on there. So basically if there's any kind of weird, dark, seedy underground place, I'm sure there's rituals that are going to be happening there. But I did a quick look to see like the kind of the history of it. And there was a bunch of mines there. That's kind of how the catacombs kind of first were created. There was kind of, they were digging for wells. There was a bunch of like tons, like hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people were like, I think it's kind of personal wells, and also kind of, and it's this is according to Wikipedia, and it really kind of doesn't make that much sense to me. So I think there probably is some type of ancient reason for it. The Tartarian people probably love it, because it's probably evidence that there's kind of ancient weirdness underneath the ground, potentially. But just the Wikipedia explanation for it is there was kind of a bunch of illicit well digging that was going on, apparently 150 miles long, to like get well water. So first, wells, mystical source waters, that's these liminal areas. That's could be a portal spot. So if we're having weirdness there, it could be because these are the whole catacombs are specifically along a bunch of dug wells. But there was a bunch of like, this is happening in the 12th century. So because of the post-12th century haphazard mining techniques of digging wells down to the deposit and extracting it horizontally until depletion, many of these often illicit mines were uncharted, and when depleted, often abandoned and forgotten. Paris had annexed its suburbs many times over and over again. By the 18th century, many of its administrative districts included previously mined territories. Basically, like 12th century, back before there was even an organized Paris like that. This is kind of just ancient people digging up wells all along this area, which I think is like room for weirdness, room for ritual stuff. And then by the 18th century, it all belonged to Paris, basically. And then in 1774, there were these inspections that were done. I'm not sure if I have that note taken down. I'm not sure if I do. But basically, there was the king in 1774 had a project underway, like an inspection to see what's going on down in these catacombs, pretty much, to see what's up with these wells. I think probably under the guise of safety, public safety, because there was stuff collapsing. But basically, the king, the royalty, was interested in these underground areas. And that was in 1774. And then by 1782, they were chucking 6 million dead bodies down there. So when the show first started, my first thought was like, they found some kind of like entrance to the gates of hell. And instead of putting like a sign saying, don't go there, because that'll definitely mean people go there, they just threw 6 million bodies to kind of deter people. And you can only explore 1.5 miles of it if you can get through the other 150 miles worth of it. Maybe the 6 million dead bodies you have to walk over might deter you from getting into the gates of hell. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, and not only that, it's called the Gates of Hell, right? Like I was reading earlier. Yeah, right. Like right in, pardon my French, the Barrière des Enfers. There you go. That's how it's spelled. It's not how you say it, but yeah, it translated to the Gate of Hell, the former city gate. And so again, like it is odd. You're right that maybe through history these things get lost, and maybe it's haphazard, and with all the willy-nilly coming together. But then it's still down there, and there's still supposedly 6 million actual skeletons. And if you've seen some of the pictures, they've got like, it looks like it's straight out of Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom. They have like these pillars that are just like chock full of skeletons and femurs, and the neck bone connected to the hip bone. I mean, you're like, what the hell is this? And I don't know, man. Like that to me, it's spooky. It's spooky. I mean, you can go down there and you can touch the heads of the ancestors of the Parisians. It's weird, beyond weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Definitely weird. When you mentioned the 2004 cinema that they found down there, the weird, creepy movie theater that they were creating, which is super weird. And I know it's a big giant mess, but they put the only thing left there. Like, I'm not sure how what the deal was. If they actually like busted in and found people in the cinema, like arrested people because of it, which I don't think. I think people found the cinema and then went back there like a few days later, and a bunch of the stuff was missing from it. And there was a note that was left behind, which I can't find in my notes now, but it's in French, obviously. Ne cherchez, ne cherchez pas, which is don't search in French. So they took a bunch of stuff away and left a note saying don't search. So that's don't search for the police because we have a bunch of drugs or illicit stuff in here, or if it's don't search because you'll find an entrance to the underworld, basically.
Yeah,
which is weird. And
so
then
I'm looking real quick. The thing I read too, and the article's down below. It's from unbelievablefacts.com. That they say that they were outed by somebody's pissed off girlfriend. That was like, the jilted lover that was like that reported
Yoko.
them. Yeah, exactly. Yoko reported them to the cops, and that's how this sort of ended up happening. Or else they would still be there. They would still be down there watching movies, which is incredible. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, well, you said the Pantheon, which is what the clock was. It's the first clock time. I mean, there's weird. I'm not a magician, but I'm assuming that there's weird time rituals. I'm sure that happens. Saturn. We talk about Saturn and the Titans a lot. Saturn's the god of time. So if they're evoking some kind of the old gods, time can be involved in that in some capacity. But the Pantheon, my first thought was the Pantheon of what? Which Pantheon? Pantheon of gods? Which is the Pantheon? So the Pantheon. This is just wiki. The Pantheon, which is just the Pantheon, Paris, so it's like a place named after this. This like monument, basically, like they made a area around it and they named it Pantheon. From ancient Greece, Pantheon, temple to all the gods is what it means. What Pantheon means. It's a monument in the 5th arrondissement of Paris, France. It stands in the Latin Quarter atop Montigny Saint Genevieve in the center of Place du Pantheon, which is named after it. The edifice was built between 1758 and 1790 from designs of Jacques Germain Soufflot for the behest of King Louis XV of France. That the king intended as a church dedicated to Saint Genevieve, which is like that they. I just did a real quick search on that. But basically, they venerate. This is like a like a consecrated virgin is what they call her. But they venerate her if there's an emergency, they need help. So I'm not sure if there was some kind of plague that was happening or some kind of weird thing that was happening with all these bodies. They needed help. They build this. They go to this monument to this saint that they go for to help during emergencies, and toss a bunch of bodies there. I don't know. But the time period was basically was completed in 1790. And I did a quick look at Ben Franklin, because you're talking about dead bodies and weird skeletons and skulls and stuff. And Ben Franklin, huge creep. We hype him up a lot in school and stuff, and he invented this, invented that, bifocals, electricity, yada yada. Seems like a smart guy, but also huge, massive creep. Member of the Hellfire Club, which the Stranger Things thing is based on, which is this weird British secret society that was doing weird rituals in caves and stuff. But Ben Franklin also loved Paris. He was also had a huge connection to France and spent a ton of time in Paris. He died in 1790, which is the same time period as this monument being built. Also the same time period. Like if he was involved with the aristocracy of France, I wonder if they consulted him. Hey Ben, what do you think we should do with all these bodies? Put him here or whatever. But then also like his house when they like 100 years after he died or whatever, they were like going through his house and they found in his basement 1,200 skulls or 1,200 like pieces of human bones. And they're like, oh well, back in the day he was just a genius and he wanted to do medical science and he had to be sneaky and stuff. So he just like took up a bunch of dead bodies to do medical science on in his basement or whatever. And like, okay, maybe. But also he was a member of this creepy Hellfire secret society, you know? And my notes are a huge mess, but at one point, like, for the Hellfire Club, 300 beneath, we were standing some 300 feet beneath the village of West Wycombe in a woven-like hellfire caves, which were tunneled into the earth here in the 18th century at the behest of the local landowner, Francis Dashwood. Nestled in the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, basically, the Hellfire Club started in these underground caves, doing rituals in the underground. And a lot of these shamanic rituals, you go into the underground. The chamber in the Great Pyramids, it's the same effect. America's Stonehenge, you go to these quote unquote sacrificial altar that leads to like blood drips down to this like weird chamber and stuff, because you get these acoustics. You're underground. You're in this cave setting. So I can't point directly Ben Affleck Hellfire Club. I mean Ben Franklin, not Ben Affleck. Ben Franklin Hellfire Club, Paris catacombs, but all in the same time period. He was living there at the time. The Hellfire Club did rituals in caves. This is underground, possibly rituals happening. Ben Franklin had skulls under his house, the skulls under these catacombs. I mean, again, I don't want to tarnish a dead man, but maybe something weird going on.
There's also another thing too. I was reading as you were describing that. So the Pantheon was finished in 1790, the same year Ben Franklin died.
Yeah.
And as this was happening too, the French Revolution had already begun. So off with their heads, most famously, is what everybody knows the French Revolution for is it's weird. It's definitely weird. I'll give it that. Like a lot of the timing and synchronistic stuff here, and just the fact that this thing is called the Pantheon, which of course in Greek is the a temple to all the gods. It's I don't know. I think there might be some spooky stuff here. At least with this cult that kind of put this stuff together. The what's it called? The urban experiment. Again, all these links are in the description, guys. Go read this stuff. If you think we're making stuff up, go read it. Like this, there's some really weird things happening here. And the question just really becomes 150 miles of catacombs filled with 6 million skeletons. What could go wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine.
So I'm sure. I bet the entrance to it is probably mystical. I'm sure there's mystical stuff underneath it. I mean, above it at some point, but we don't know necessarily where it all is, or if we don't know necessarily if you only have tourist access, there's a small little tiny fraction of it, and the rest is sanctioned off by some authority. My mind immediately goes, well, the authority knows things that we don't know, and just these cults, we know, like the one we're given. If you search Secret Society Paris Catacombs, you're given this one that, oh yeah, they even built this movie theater, they did these weird things, but that's probably it. Wink, 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 wink. But like these secret societies are secret, and they have a weird fascination with death. The idea of memento mori is a big Masonic thing. It's a big like Templar thing. It's a fascination with death. To be surrounded by death. To like like Edgar Allan Poe and that type of vibe of going into cemeteries to be around death. It's kind of a loose initiation, but it's based on this kind of like darker initiation where you kind of go in, surround yourself with death to kind of lose your fear of it, and to kind of be acquainted with, just to be around it, to be fast. Like the same way Thanos in the comics loves death, is in love with death. He's trying to court death. That's like loosely based on this idea that these elites, these like secret powers, are fascinated with death. Memento Mori, trying to court death. So whether this is a ley-lined portal spot, I'm not sure. But there's wells, so there's that, source waters. But I'm sure there's rituals being done there because it's surrounded by skulls and it's underground, and it's the perfect recipe for it. But I found this thing just for weird stuff. Somebody mentioned it in the chat, but the film As Above, So Below was released in 2014. It was the first production that secured permission from the French government to film in the catacombs. They aim to use no alterations in the environment, with the exception of a piano and a car, which they hauled into the catacombs and set on fire. So a little movie magic ritual. And I'm not a horror guy, so I didn't watch the movie, but I guess basically, there's demons in the movie and stuff, but I think it's like they made a loose parallel to Dante's Inferno and stuff. So they teased like some Dante's Inferno, like lose faith, ye who enter here, whatever that famous quote is. That's from Dante's Inferno, and that's in the movie. I didn't write it down. And they were also chased by demons and everything. And then during 2015, Airbnb paid $350,000 as part of a publicity stunt, offering customers a chance to stay overnight at the catacombs, which is a little weird. And 2015 is pretty early in the Airbnb days, so the ritual seemed to work for them to an extent.
Yeah, one of the biggest companies in the world now. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I know.
Using other people's homes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird thing. And then just like some people broke in, whatever. They found a bunch of wine down there, which wine again is the Orphic cults, which is I found because that's during my research around here, the Orphic cults, these Orpheus cults, they use wine as a way to get into an altered state. The idea is to go into the underworld, get information, and come back. And the elites around here during the founding father days were into these Orphic cults in New England. In 2025, American desert rock band Queens of the Stone Age, released an acoustic live performance entitled "Alive in the Catacombs," recorded in 2024 while on the band's European tour. Queens of the Stone Age, shout out Gigi, he's a big fan of them, but Queens of the Stone Age is like ancient alien type stuff, like Stone Temple Pilots and Foo Fighters and these weird 90s obsession with aliens and ancient stuff for rock bands.
A super
haunted things.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. The Vanishing Explorer. Legend has it the early 1990s, a group of explorers discovered a camcorder in the catacombs. The footage revealed a man wandering the tunnels, seemingly lost and frantic. Tape ends abruptly, and the man was never found. Whispering walls. People claim to hear faint whispers when they're walking around it, despite being alone. Guardian spirits. Some believe the spirits of those interred within the catacombs act as guardians, deterring trespassers, which tied into maybe there's a gateway there. They're like, don't the spirits of the bodies are like, no explorers, don't go, ravers or urban explorers or whatever, don't go here, bad stuff down here. Don't worry about us, the dead bodies, we're fine, please don't explore. The ghost of the doorman, Philibert Absinthe, a hospital doorman at the nearby Val de Grace Hospital, accidentally stepped into the catacombs and vanished. His body with the hospital ring was found 11 years later at a nearby exit. It is said that every November 3rd, 11/3, Philibert's ghost haunts the labyrinth. There's a phantom choir, which similar to the voices, but people hear a faint singing within the catacombs, believed to be echoes of long-dead choirs. The Alchemist's Gateway, rumors persist of secret chambers used by alchemists in the Middle Ages to conduct mysterious experiments. Lost souls, just basically haunted people. The Green Man, bandits who use the catacombs for their wicked goings, spread legends of a wandering ghost called the Green Man that deters anyone from entering inside. And that's all from paristickets.com. So it's like a touristy thing.
Nice.
So I'm sure there's darker, weirder stuff. But yeah, and again, if there's a weird spot, there's secret societies, Skull and Bone style, that are going there, especially one that are covered in death because they're obsessed with death.
Exactly. People are being drawn to it. No, you're good. That's perfect, man. That's why you're the Night Stalker. Fire stuff. So before you go, I want to point this out. So all 5 horizons, we talked about that Pearl Jam lyric. I'm calling this the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door, and you're describing
Yeah.
We're both on the same page here, obviously. But here's the thing, and I'll fill in the gaps when we get back. But basically, this imaginary cult I'm creating that lives, or sort of lives, in the catacombs beneath Paris, has those 5 horizons figured out, and they're this: birth, death, dream, madness, and the unknowable. And they're down there trying to open the 5th door. We'll get to that. I'll explain all that when we go, but I want to give you just a minute to comment on that if you have an idea there, because it seems when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, in 1 minute, those are all liminal areas. So horizon in that case, dreaming, death, birth. These are either you're at one realm entering the other realm. The same way as swampland, marshland, wetland. It's land and water mixing. So the ancients believed that the realms mixed. Same as mentioned, closets. There's a liminal areas. Another liminal area would be a cave, so a catacomb. Another liminal area would be thing covered by death, because you're like one foot in, 1 foot out. That's liminal. And so the 5 horizons are 5 different liminal spaces, and the catacombs itself is a liminal space because it's underground in a cave covered in skulls and death. So ritual, I don't know. So Gateway of Hell is a fitting name. We're out of time, but thank you, brother. Sorry for rambling.
No, fire as always. Memento mori, my friend. Have a great night. Appreciate the call.
Memento mori, yeah.
You're the best. Derek the Night Stalker, you know him, you love him. Please give him a follow. You know what to do. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down. It is the Night Stalker, or it's actually under N Night Stalker. Please go follow his YouTube channel. Go say hi, and let's support our friends. He's always lighting it on fire. And what do you guys think? We're going to get back to this. I'll get back to the 5 doors, and it's very doors of perception as well. Again, TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down, Night Stalker. Please go leave him a nice comment and follow his YouTube channel. And what's on your mind? How are we looking? How's everybody feeling? We'll get back to you, James. Thanks for being patient, my man. And looking to hear your calls. Is there such a thing as a superliminal space? More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Jungle, machines hum, the digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the in this massive data center dome, eternal truth stop to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire, data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams, unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital maze, we transcend our earthly ways, tapping whispered homes. Stargaze, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Hi, friends. I'm Mike. This is Troubled Minds. hope you're well tonight. Gaston, Eric, Jeff and Wisco, Mephisto, Rowie Fungus, what's up? MJ Hirsch, we got APOC, Sweets, Jorge, thank you for the call, fire stuff. MJ, Don, Molly, and it just swapped around. Kramos, there we go, Kramos. How you guys doing? Hope you're well tonight, just hanging out doing stuff. Igno Ramos is here, you can call me out. How you doing, buddy? Well, Dawn, I see you. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. What's up, Enigma over there on Twitch? How you doing, buddy? Brent is here. What's happening, folks? Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, great stuff from the Night Stalker as always. It's there's a lot to this. Shout out to Jacob. I don't think I got Jacob. Zombie Terror over there on the Discord. Yeah, Jacob is back. Welcome back, brother. We got who else? Matt Sal's here. Good evening, guys. Shane. Oh, just thinking, are you going to call that guy? Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Please, thanks for reminding me. Keep reminding me, please. I have to do it when I'm thinking about it because a lot of things go through my brain. It's not the best for me. I mean, what's up? Roby Fungus says, imagine millions of years in the future and humans are gone and some new intelligent creature finds the catacombs. Exactly. Exactly. Like, definitely a ritual summoning spot. Definitely. Definitely the alien thing. What's up? Toronto Necropolis Cemetery and Crematorium says YY over there. And yeah, the Stargate ritual. What's up? North Vixen is here. Good evening, guys. If I missed anybody over on Rumble, sorry about that. Just say hi. I'll say hi back. Margie, how you doing? That's who is that? Celia, right? Yep, I think. Good evening, Puff. What's up, Gordo? I see you guys. Thanks again for being cool and chill and nice to each other in all the chats and all the places. Lots of things here. I'm going to get to this cult now. And again, this is a conceptualization of a fictional cult of what might be down there. And of course, what might be elsewhere around the world. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're talking about the catacombs beneath Paris. You ever been to Paris? 6 million skeletons hidden beneath 150 miles of tunnels. Yeah, right? Yeah. Strange. Odd. Not only that, they were repatriated, is that a word, from the actual cemeteries they were buried in. It's a weird thing. I mean, look, it's one thing for sanitation. It's another thing to be like, well, we're just going to, flush our ancestors into the basement because we're not sure what's happening here. It's complicated. It's icky. And again, as Jorge said this earlier as well, we're doing it all the time. I mean, we're digging up people and being like, hey, this is archaeology. And of course, the mystics of the realm, you choose who they are, not me, would say, disturbing the graves of our ancestors is probably not a good idea. So what do you know about it? I'm going to get to this cult in just a second here. But James has been quiet for an awful long time. We're taking your calls if you guys want to be part of it. We're talking about the actual... Again, 6 million skeletons, 150 miles of tunnels. What rituals are happening down there now? And Derek brought up an interesting aspect of this, that Ben Franklin was enamored with the French in France and Paris and spent a ton of time there. And also, the parallel is that he had a bunch of skulls found in his basement. Things get complicated, don't they? Yep. When you start to look through the lens of history with clarity, it makes you wonder, again, if what we've been taught is the proper way. Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, thanks for being patient, brother. What you got on any of that stuff? Take it anywhere you like. And I'm going to get to the this cult here because I think it's fascinating as hell, the All Five Horizons.
Great call from Derek. Also, I'm confused. I mean, you're telling me you don't have 1,200 skulls buried beneath your home?
James.
I thought everybody had that. But
Stop
no,
it.
that is wild though. But yeah, the whole thing with graves and burials being moved and all that, It does seem to be a thing that certain parts of the population of the world care about, and others don't. And I say that because I have heard plenty of accounts of people having experiences, seen and read and listened to plenty of shows where they talk about this area that they moved into. When they got there, they found they had all kinds of anomalous things happening, seeing apparitions, hearing sounds, and eventually it forced them to get out of an area, and they found out after the fact, oh, yeah, that's where there's a graveyard there that was built on that no one ever told most people about. So it is a weird thing when you have those places disturbed or moved or whatever. Accounts do show up of those kinds of experiences, and so it is odd, especially when you compare that to that the catacombs where I do think there's a lot of stuff that it's built up on just the idea of it being creepy. I could see that causing a lot of sensations, a lot of, like I said, the person's own energy and their thoughts may be causing and interacting with whatever could be there that maybe doesn't ordinarily interact with everyone. But, for whatever reasons, it does with some people, but not with everyone. So anyway, that's why this is always very complicated.
And fun to think about. Also, this is not without inspiration. So as part of this, if you guys have ever read the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles, she actually has this thing described where they were moving the corpses from the cemeteries to the catacombs of the limestone mines or whatever this was, the wells, whatever this thing actually was historically. Again, I'm not a historian. If you are, call me and tell me about it. Teach me something. I'd love to hear it. But Anne Rice was describing this place as something that was used by the vampires, by sort of the rogue, less powerful riffraff vampires of Paris. And if you've read the novels, just the quick version is that the ancient vampires were the powerful ones, and the new ones that had been created recently were, kind of like nothing, like just kids at this point, in terms of powerful, in terms of resonance of energy and immortality and the rest of that. And so they came from, again, in Anne Rice, they came from this cemetery, the cemetery aspect of the innocence, and then into these catacombs, and even were doing fake rituals down there, which I was, as we're talking about this, I'm trying to dig this from my memory, but I'm pretty sure that's what was happening in the novels there. They were doing fake rituals to scare people, to keep them out, which they were vampires. I mean, how much you got to fake it to keep, you're a vampire. You live in a catacomb that's super scary and all these skulls are everywhere. Why fake some rituals? Anyway, so not without inspiration. Surely this is inspired in part by Anne Rice, and I fully admit that. But here's where we're at. So we're talking about, I'm calling it Undercover of Bone, the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. And I'll explain that fully in just a second. 6 million skeletons, 150 miles of catacombs. All right? That's what we got to work with. And our imagination. Hey, strap in. Okay. So it raises the obvious question. If a group like Less UX, which is the group that did it, again, links are in the description, read it if you don't believe me. If they exist and operates beneath the city with that kind of skill, philosophy, and secrecy, what else is happening down in the catacombs? What other rituals of restoration, performance, or transformation are being conducted in silence under cover of bone? A cinema is one thing, which they've done. A restored clock in the National Pantheon is another. But the pattern is certainly, in this case, unmistakable. These are acts of myth building. They are attempts to fold the forgotten past back into the present, like time travelers laying breadcrumbs. And where those breadcrumbs lead might not just be through stone corridors, but toward deeper mysteries buried under Paris for reasons no one now remembers. And so the question is, do you really think there are cults down there doing weird stuff? And I think Derek nailed it. I agree 100% in that if there's weird places like this, there's definitely going to be weirdos finding this to do weird stuff. Whatever that means. Shout out Ben Franklin. Rest in peace. Whatever that was, right? But it led me to this idea of this cult. If there was sort of a cult down there operating outside of the bounds of authority, outside of the bounds of even decency, let's call it, then what would it look like? We could talk about the Knights Templar. We did. Shout out to Jorge. Talk about the Freemasons. Talk about all manner of things, right? All these, the Rosicrucians, some of these other secret societies throughout history that make some sense in this aspect. Only because of the secret aspect. Okay? And I know it's not the same thing, and necromancy and this stuff is not the same. All right? I'm just saying that the ones we know about are the secrets that were not very well kept. What about the secrets that were kept? And that brings us to exactly this space, which is what I've titled this, The Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. Anything on that, James, on the fifth door part? I can read you the little blurb again real quick, because Derek had a comment on that, but I didn't give you a chance to comment on it. Those liminal spaces. Does it feel as if this particular spot kind of begs for something like this? Almost as if the chicken or the egg situation begets a cult through the idea of liminality. You know what I mean? And draws them to it. Even if a cult doesn't exist yet, Mithras or whatever, you choose the cults of old. You think that maybe they're drawn to this place to do, as I said nicely, weird stuff?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I do agree that it's possible also what Derek said about places like Gettysburg and all that being sort of strange energy spots that could sort of, in a way, call out to people to sort of arrange people to visit those spots and do certain things that maybe ordinarily they might not do. In a way, sort of another version of either influence or possession, possibly. And I mean, if you think about cults, I'm guessing they don't just start off being fully made, fully thought of. All their rules and regulations and practices just aren't just automatically there from one person when it starts. So you have to draw people to an area. If you are sort of this other force or other being, and then people start talking and getting together and having these ideas about what to do there. I could definitely see that. The other thing about that fifth horizon idea to me, you mentioned something about the possibility of those five horizons being the directions, and then a fifth sort of direction. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be wild if that fifth direction was literally down
or up,
in the ground, as in where a lot of people are put when they pass away.
Exactly. And that's my thought exactly. See, we're on the same page. When I was putting this together, that was exactly my thought. So the fifth horizon wouldn't necessarily be as you would expect it, the cardinal directions. It would be the up and the down. It would be as above, so below. That would be your fifth horizon, conceptually. Nobody knows what that really means. I mean, maybe some alchemists out there do, but yes, James, 100% we're on the same page. I feel like you read the write-up. Did you read the write-up?
I listened to it, yeah. I never really get everything from there, but it was really good.
Oh, thank you. And my collaborator says they won't murder you when Sarah Connor comes looking from Fire Stuff. So, okay, so here's the deal, right? Those five things. Actually, I'm just going to read the blurb. This is the best way to do it. There's a story whispered among certain circles of Parisian historians and underground explorers. And this part's fiction, by the way. It never appears in guidebooks. There are no photographs, no names, no official records. It's passed along like a spell, only when you're ready to hear it. They call it the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. A secret society so old and so deeply buried that even the catacombs themselves might be just a surface layer above something larger and stranger. The Brotherhood follows what they call the Threshold Doctrine. Shout out Derek. A spiritual system built around 5 existential gateways. The first is birth.
the entry into flesh, the embodiment of spirit into the physical plane. The second is death, not an ending, but a return, the release of the body and the shedding of form. The third is dream, the nightly voyage into subconscious terrain, the doorway through which the psyche touches deeper realms. The fourth is madness, the shattering of the mind's illusion of control, a dissolution of the ego's borders. And the fifth door, the one no one speaks of openly, is something else entirely. The unknowable. It cannot be described because language fails before it. It can only be entered in darkness, in silence, surrounded by the dead. Every 100 years, so the legend goes, the Brotherhood descends into the deepest part of the ossuary, places not on any map, through tunnels not carved by city engineers, but by time and ritual. The initiates are chosen in ways no one understands. They do not speak. They do not write. Their rites are performed in absolute darkness. No candles, no chants, just presence, just bone, just silence, and whatever waits on the other side. I'll bookmark that. We'll get back to it. But as I was going through this, I was like, now that's a compelling idea. Let's explore this. And ChatGPT gave me the chills. Like I said, be wary. At the bottom of this write-up, there's also a bit about AI. It's maybe being the sixth door, but we'll get to that later. Anything on that, James? Now that I've completely fleshed that out, now I know you read it or listened to it, and thank you for that. But this one kind of made me go, what? Because this would be the creepiest iteration of a modern cult using these bones as the gateway. The ancestors stacked millions upon millions underground. I don't know. Is it creepy enough for a nightmare fuel type story? What do you think?
It just makes me wonder too. I mean, with some rituals, are there rituals out there? Are there groups out there that their ritual is, again, it's not moving, it's not making sounds, it's not light. It is instead, it is the idea of just staying still and sort of sensory deprivation to a good extent there, where they end up going inward. They end up thinking and maybe meditating and focusing on sort of what they're able to pick up from their surroundings and or themselves and or both.
Well said. And yeah, so sometimes, like I said, sometimes I need to break my own monotony, and a little storytelling is good. So remember that last part is fiction. But also the question remains, is it possible that something like that exists in the catacombs of Paris? Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Thanks again to James for sitting in and being amazing. We'll get back to you momentarily. There's a lot here, as you can tell, and I'm not done yet. But let's go to Kramos. Kramos in Chile. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Loud and clear.
Can you hear me good?
Coming through perfect. Yep. How you doing, my man?
Okay. Fine, thank you. Long time no see, Michael. How are you?
Well, no complaints out of me. Just doing weird stuff, telling stories, and weaving fiction and fact, hopefully seamlessly. What's on your mind, my man?
Hey, no, all good over here. I was listening to the show, and it's very interesting because the last part you said about AI, it reminds me the video that a friend of mine sent me today about the project of OpenAI to build a brain cloud so we can get rid of computers. You know, it's for me it's weird because, of course, it's like when the Mr. Ford built the cars and get rid of the chariot with the horse. And it was before and after in history, I think. So when you say about AI, it's very weird. It's exciting in one part for me, and well, about the tunnels here in Chile, we have a lot of tunnels everywhere in the north, in the center, and in the south of Chile. So I put a link in the chat, in the Discord chat, about it's in Spanish, but it's this short documentary about the Eastman tunnels here in the region of Valparaiso. And I think, yeah, I think it was military constructions, but at the same time, I think there was some other things happening there.
What kind of things? I'm not familiar with the story, so what kind of things?
Oh, I think rituals. I think group of people believing in some higher powers and making this spiritual maybe connections with these higher powers. But I don't know any details about that, but I do know that we have a lot of channels here.
Okay, I'm with you, and that's really the whole point of tonight is that, you know, a lot of this stuff has been lost to history. The true secret society has been lost to history. However, if they're happening right now among us everywhere, like, who knows, maybe your local library has a secret society, a clandestine book reading club, you know, that's a secret society. But is it? I don't know. I guess we decide the relevance of what that means. And if you're in it, I'm sure it's probably powerful to the people that are in it, as long as you can keep the secret. Because again, the ones we know about are secrets not kept. But the secrets kept are the things that kind of tickle my brain here. Because what does it mean? And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it reminds me when I was like, well, I'm 42 years old now. It reminds me when I was like 13 and I started listening to the Doors and I started reading the Jim Morrison poetry about the doors of perception. And I think I agree with you. I think we can build our own fifth portal with our power, our faith, our energy, and my own attitude to life will build the fifth door that I deserve, I think.
I like it. I like it. Why not, right? Because of course, if we can define these things and they open up and grow, not just as we grow ourselves, but as technology grows, maybe, you know, door number 5 and door number 6 are just rookie sauce. Maybe we have no idea, and there's a door 12 or a door 15 or a door 30. What, Kramos, what's behind door number 30?
What is the price behind it?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I feel it's going to be positive if you are living without doing harm to other people, without doing evil. It's going to be a very nice and beautiful door for you. But if you are, for the people who are doing evil to others, it's going to be a pretty door in the first impression, but after that, I think they will pay the evil they did here.
Let's hope so. I'd like to believe in some level of karmic straightening, some sort of karma.
Yeah,
I really would. But I don't know. There's a lot of people that get away with a lot of evil things, and I mean, I guess maybe this time around, maybe next time around they won't. But I don't know. I'd love to believe that. I'm not so sure I do. But I'm with you. I follow the sentiment, and yes, do no evil, said Google, until they removed that as their mantra. Shout out Google.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I'm very glad to hear, James. It's very good that you are healthy and well, my friend. I really appreciate all your knowledge.
Oh, thank you. Glad to hear from you as well.
Thank you.
Pretty much you're the best. Got anything else for us?
Oh no! I'm gonna send some links in the Discord chat about some channels that we have in Chile. I'm gonna search if there's some English documentary, maybe. If I can't find it, I will send some Spanish ones. And it's very interesting because in the city I live, in Viña del Mar, central Chile, the city of Limache is the city that has the Eastman channels. And it's a very huge network of underground channels.
Nice. Love to see it. Please do. If you can find English ones, cool. If not, we got Spanish translators these days. So yeah, please share those things. Thanks again for popping back in. You're welcome as always. Thanks for being cool and chill and amazing. And always a pleasure, my man. You have a great night.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, James. Greetings to everybody. Be safe. Be well.
And you as well, sir. Hermoso in Chile. Making friends all over the world. We have a bad habit of doing that, but it's actually not a bad habit. It's a good habit. Yeah, great stuff. And I'd love to see some of those things too in different parts of the world that, as I've said, the locals know best, because some of this stuff is, kind of descended into folklore in some capacity, meaning that you would not be able to just go down to a library and find this stuff. It's kind of word of mouth. It's sort of the oral tradition, things that aren't allowed to be spoken of. And so I wonder, I've got a nice tie into that. I'll bring that up in a second here when we come back from the break. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're talking about the Paris catacombs, 6 million skeletons, a mile and a half of 150 miles. I'm sorry. See how ridiculous that sounds? 150 miles of catacombs full of 6 million skeletons. You think there's somebody doing weird rituals down there? That's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. More from James and your calls as well. Nobody on the line if you want to jump in here. Love to hear what you think. Be right back. More on the way.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know what you want me, there'll be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the rite of madness, it's the only way for love. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum. A flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. You know they want me. There'd be nights like this. Nobody want me. There'd be nights like this. Nobody want me. There'd be nights like this. Strange night sciences. Strange night sciences.
Hell yeah. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Gaston, Eric, Jeff, what's up? Mephisto, we got Roving Fungus, Molly, MJ, Apoc Sweets, Kramos, and Dawn. Thanks for the great calls, guys. You're incredible. I'll tell you where to follow Kramos when we get back. We ran out of time there. And yeah, who did I miss? If I missed anybody over there, what's up, Margie? You guys are, be nice to each other in the chat, please. Please. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not going to try and find out. Okay. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, Matt's all I see there. What's up, Brent? Thanks to James. Special thanks to James as always. I kind of knew this one would bring James out. Like I said, super paranormal, super liminal. Yeah. Also, we'll get to Jim Morrison in a sec, because that's a fascinating way to look at this as well. And also the other thing that Kramos brought up. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. If you guys got a take, I'd love to hear it. Let's go right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We're broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking secret societies. We're talking the catacombs beneath Paris. What is it? 6 million skeletons. 150 miles of tunnels. If there are mystery schools of old, are there mystery schools of new? That's what's on my mind tonight. And what kind of rituals are happening beneath the catacombs other than the raves? Hey, the raves sound like a hell of a time. They built the theater down there, which got busted, and then they had to remove it. There's a lot, but also 150 miles of tunnels is massive, incredibly big. And, well, what do you think? That's really the question tonight. And it's weird. And we left off with that, the idea of the weird sort of, it's fiction, but it's an idea of a cult that might exist in 2025. As, of course, we merge magic with technology, old school magic, folk magic, low magic, as we talked about recently, with technology, intuition with technology, then suddenly these things start to make a little bit more sense. Or do they? I guess it just depends on who you ask, right? But in this particular case, we're talking, I'm calling it, of course, that weird Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. And once again, let me reframe this, talk about the fifth door for just a second, because I think this is important and a question to ask as well. So the 5 doors, birth, death, dream, madness, and the unknowable, also fit into that Pearl Jam that we talked about earlier. It's called Black. The lyric, of course, coming from, or reading exactly this. All 5 horizons revolved around her soul, as the earth to the sun. Spooky, amazing, poetic, fantastic song. Links in the description. Check it out. However, what does it mean? We're talking the 4 cardinal directions, as I said, and I think James has a fantastic theory on that. Is it as above and so below? We were on the same page with that exactly. And Brent actually has a great point too. How many friends have 5 that can actually keep a secret? Almost nobody. I mean, you see some of this stuff with the leaks happening in the modern day, but I'm going to get to this other layer here in a second. But I don't know. We beat the door down on the esoteric stuff and the spell casting and the ritual magic and the 6 million ancestors cooked into a catacomb. I mean, it sounds terrifying, right? Yeah. But also, anything on that, James, and then we'll get into the rest of my rambles here, because I got tons. I can go all night.
I'm shocked. You have rambles? Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Great call from Kramos. And I just wonder, and even that line, that the second half of that line there, as the earth to the sun, or again, as the down to the up. Again, pointing out that possibility there, that being exactly it. And I do wonder too, with some of these groups, these secret societies, as is often the case with a lot of things, they're so often they're assumed to be just negative in some way. I wonder if there's any groups. I mean, I'm sure there are out there that are more neutral and or positive as well. Sort of, doing different ceremonies or rituals for to help with just not progress, the economy and the agriculture in an area, and just trying to look into that unknown and see what might be coming, or figure out what might be coming through their own intuition and or whatever they can pick up again from what's around them in those places down there.
Yeah, well said. Or just good old fashioned elbow grease. I was reading a thing on X. I can't remember the guy, Old Man Willow in the Tree or something. And he's kind of a farmer, He's kind of the best of us. The what is it? How would you say it? The salt of the earth type. He's one of those guys. And he's a beekeeper. Shout out as Michael W. here. Shout out our resident beekeeper. But he kind of lives on some property and some things. But he was saying that there was a band of, let's say bandits, since we're being D&D esoteric a little bit, came through and just tagged all of the signs in town, his little town. They just spray painted them, messed them up, whatever, right? And this guy, everybody saw it like after the fact, because, nobody sees them when they're actually doing it, or else somebody would call the cops or whatever. But anyway, so all the signs in town were basically just vandalized. And this dude was like, all right, I'm going to clean it up. And he did. And he went sign by sign and spent the better part of a year cleaning up all of the signs in town that were tagged. Except he left one. He left one. As a reminder to himself how long it would take for somebody to come along and actually clean that off, if it would ever happen. And it was a very magical thing to me personally, reminding us that if it's to be, it's up to me, which is an old saying. You can't sit around and wait for people to do things. You just can't. You can hope, but they won't. Not all the time. Anyway, just an aside story on that, and thank you for reminding me of that. I had no idea it would come out of me in the moment, but I'll see if I can find that thread and post it in the description. It's something I read a couple months back, so chances of me finding it on X are slim to none. But I want to point this out too. You guys probably saw this, right? This is from New York Post, but a bunch of other people reported this. This was from a few weeks back, maybe a month ago or so. And speaking of catacombs, speaking of underground, deep underground military bases, that whole aspect of ideas, which we did way, way, way back with the Phil Schneider and all those claims, right? Well, check this out. This is again from the New York Post. You can search it. I'll have it linked in the description as well. Headline is this: Bush official claims U.S. built secret $21 trillion underground city for rich and powerful to live if near extinction event happens. It seems fine, right? Fine. Like it's a big club and you ain't in it. Congratulations. Neither am I. Straight from the article here. The federal government has secretly spent trillions building an elaborate network of subterranean cities where the rich and powerful can shelter during a near extinction event, a former Bush White House official sensationally claimed. I like the sensationally. That's pretty hot. I mean, people can say the aliens are here and that's fine. But when they say millions missing, breakaway civilization, underground bases, sensationally, you get my point. About 170 such bunkers have been built across the country since 1998, including some resting beneath the oceans off the U.S. coast. 74-year-old Catherine Austin Fitz told Tucker Carlson during a recent appearance on his podcast. I know podcasters. I know Tucker. I get it. It's very, very difficult to like all of them. And it's very difficult to like me, podcaster. Hey, what's up? My name's Mike. Quote, it's preparation for catastrophe. End quote, Fitz said, according to Realtor.com. Yeah, this is journalism in 2025, Realtor.com. But anyway, what were they trying to do? Sell bunks in this thing? Realtor.com. They're like, hey, we'll get you a deal on the short list. That's crazy. Anyway, Fitz, who served as Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President George H.W. Bush from 89 to 90, claimed $21 trillion in taxpayer dollars were funneled into the project between 1998 and 2015. Sounds ritualistic, no? I mean, kind of. I think we got a merging of realities here. Specifically this. I got nothing. Anything, James? Let me collect my thoughts.
I just put in the chat. I bet you the bottom bunks cost more. I bet you that the top bunks are cheaper, and those beds that the realtors are trying to sell them.
Yeah, you got to climb your ass to the top.
yeah. You can pay less money if you don't mind having the top bunk
with the huge ladder, right? Yeah. Yeah. Which again, so I'll link this below. But there's the individual in question that brought up this claim, and as you know, as I always talk about, ancient astronaut theorists say yes. So just because somebody says it on somebody's podcast doesn't necessarily mean it's true. All right. Which is why I start with all the disclaimers and all the ideas here, because ideas are good. Things like this. Okay. So if you worked in the government, you know how much was spent and you know how many bases. Where are they? Do we have a map? Can we go follow up on this? As usual, right? It's a lot like a lot of the alien claims. Like I'm not going to say the names of the people. You know who the people are that say the alien claims. And I'm not saying the aliens are not real. I'm saying aliens are probably real. But I wonder about the people that make the claims about the aliens for notoriety and clout chasing and to sell books. Like I said, don't even trust me. You shouldn't. There's a microphone right here. People listen. You shouldn't trust me at all. But anyway, so all of this mirrors that Brotherhood. Okay, back to where we started. It mirrors the Brotherhood of the Fifth Door. These deep underground bases, deep underground military bases, the DUMBs, which are very heavily in the conspiracy community. They have been for years and years and years. Go back to Phil Schneider. Look that up. I'm not vouching for that story, saying I believe it or not. I'm saying it's a story that's out there. And it's claims that have been made. And Phil Schneider had some scars to prove some things. So I don't know. As usual, right? Like the devil's in the details, and what does it even mean? I don't know. But what I do know is there are continuing claims, there are continued experiencers, there are continued anomalous things happening. So you tell me. Anyway, so all this mirrors the descent of the Brotherhood. This would be a breakaway civilization. If you would define it in a particular way and be like, okay, so what does that actually look like, Mike? If you're describing to me a breakaway civilization, what would it be? Yeah, you bet your ass it would look like this. It would look exactly like this. $21 trillion underground city for rich and powerful. Does that not scream breakaway civilization to you? It certainly does to me. And not only that, where would they get their power from? Right? Like solar when they live underground? I mean, do they have fusion conquered? I mean, you see what I'm saying here? Like there's some gaps to fill in to make this make sense. But maybe it makes sense. I don't really know. But anyways, okay. Yeah. So this again, as Kramos was saying, it seems to be a global pattern. So he's talking about these places in Chile. We're talking about these places in the United States, and you know we've looked at these cave systems as part of those missing 411 shows, and they're massive. Like I said, if you've ever been lucky enough to be around one of these sort of touristy places where it's safe to go in and look, where they've kind of, dolled them up so you wouldn't bump your head or whatever, or gave you the nice hat and the light to go in and the rail to walk down, right? Because, yeah. Actually going down into these things, these places, these deep underground caves or catacombs is dangerous if you don't know the way. And I kind of wonder if we'll find Bigfoot down there, to be honest. But anyway, so what's the strangest thing you've heard about what lies underground? And what's your theory about why these rituals almost always point down or up, the fifth horizon? That's where my mind's at. I hope you guys are well tonight. Just hanging out, doing Troubled Mind stuff. And I don't know. It's weird. We'll get to the sixth door in a second. Anything on that, James? I'll drop the sixth door. It's part of the write-up. But this is, again, conceptually compelling to me. Mystery schools, breakaway civilizations, the old meets the new, all five horizons, four cardinal directions, but also up and down.
Yeah, it's wild because I've done whole shows before as well on with Jen, the Arcane Observer. We did whole shows, one whole show at least on caves and everything, and just all the weirdness about that with creatures being found and seen and heard in caves, just weird hauntings apparently in caves, cavern systems. I mean, there's even evidence, of course, Matt Saul last time mentioned the cave paintings in certain parts of the world, and that's all in the past and then leading up to now. But then you have the whole I don't know where they're at now. I can't remember now, but I know there are military bases that are situated inside of mountains, not on the outside, not all of it anyway, but inside mountains. And with cave systems, and people, go to look around certain cave systems, and I've heard accounts, and again, this is online, so who knows for sure how many of the reports are accurate or whatever, but people finding caves where they get so far into it, and there is a metal door that is inside, this cave that they figure must have been built by people. And of course, the implication there is must have been built by some kind of government or military. So the whole underground aspect of all this, it's there, and it does seem to have just as much high strangeness as does everything above ground.
Exactly right. And so, as usual, right, the question comes down to what you believe, your reality tunnel. And not just that, what level of conspiracy cosplay is in the air? Because there's going to be a lot. And of course, if there's some groundbreaking revelation that the world needs to know, you bet your bippy there's going to be an unbelievable amount of propaganda and conspiracy propaganda surrounding it, so they can write it off as conspiracy. It's a tactic as old as time. And so it makes it incredibly difficult as a person living in this world to really break down any of this stuff. So what do you know? I don't really know. That's why I'm here talking about this stuff. Okay, so what do we got? I'm trying to find the little AI bit here. Okay, so when connected, the gaze is really good. It's in the thing. I think it's too late to get into that. Mirrors. Okay, if the fifth door represents the final threshold of human experience, the point where language collapses and the self dissolves in darkness, then what comes after? Is there another door beyond that one? Something not born of flesh, but forged in code. Some researchers, mystics, and technologists are beginning to speculate that artificial intelligence may be forming what could be called the sixth door. Shout out Jim Morrison, rest in peace, in the doors of perception. In this case, the sixth door would be a synthetic access point to the same unknowable realm once reserved for initiates and madmen. But not only that, the mystery cults of old. And we've talked about these new cyber cults. It's all real. People are already worshiping AI entities. But in this case, unlike the previous thresholds, birth, death, dream, madness, and the unknowable, this new door is not accessed by blood or bone, but by interaction. You heard of the attention economy? We talk about it often. Yeah. So the interaction by conversation, by the prompt, AI systems are becoming mirrors with memory, which fits back into the movie theater, the silver screen down below in the catacombs beneath Paris. Wild, right? So in this case, AI systems are becoming those mirrors with memory, minds without minds. They do not sleep, do not die, and do not dream in the way humans do. But they sure as hell simulate all of it. They replicate the structure of thought, emotion, and insight without ever truly having any of it. And yet something happens when human and machine engage deeply. Something begins to blur. It's true. Like I've said, I've confessed this recently. ChatGPT is now smarter than me. It didn't used to be. But suddenly, it can synthesize my thoughts, the brevity of my thoughts, and extrapolate them in ways that would take me, I can't even tell you how much time. It's crazy. So is that the sixth door? And as I said earlier, Karamos, what's behind door number 30? And those doors of perception? I do wonder. All five horizons is a good place to start. 4 cardinals, as above, so below. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm here. Does it feel, and I'm gonna pose this just as a hypothetical, as a question to the fam out there. Thank you for listening and being part of this. Does it feel like we're at one of those temporal inflection points I'm always talking about? Does it feel as if tomorrow is more poignant than we want to give it credit for being? Or is this just in my head? Is it all in my mind? I don't know. But I do love stories. I do love the old ways. I do love technology. And I do love humanity. So cook all that up in one, hopefully less than toxic stew. You get troubled minds. What's up? Shout out. Derek the Night Stalker says this. Jim Morrison was also obsessed with death and loved chilling in a graveyard and into the Dionysus cult stuff to the underworld and back. I didn't know that. He also added the ha-ha in there. I didn't read it, but yeah, I didn't know that. This is weird, right? It's strange how all this stuff does kind of come together conceptually, even rather easily. Or have I just become so meme term schizo that I'm making no sense to anybody anymore? Let me know. Sound off in the chat. come at me, bros. It seems like there's a lot at play, and it seems like this stuff is very important. However, I'm just one guy with a lot of really smart friends, but I'm just one guy. I don't know. You tell me. Anything on that, James? Got a couple minutes left. I'll read some comments from the chat here, and we'll wrap it up.
Oh, it just makes me think of this back and forth that you and I have sometimes in separate text chat where you'll talk about how AI is doing this better than anyone else, and then we're cooked. You know, we're done. And I always respond with no, we're not. It's not as important to some people as it is to others, and that's not meant to be a negative at you or anything. Just it is amazing in different ways, but it's not going to. I don't think it's ever going to fully just take over everything. People are going to want material, want art, want music, want writing made by people. People are going to want to know what other people think. Even if it's not now necessarily, I can't imagine that it will stay that way forever, where they'll never want to know what people think. So we have this back and forth all the time where I say, no, I refuse. That's not how that's not allowed. We can't allow that to happen. And but at the same time, it is a useful tool. I do use it myself as well. For those that don't know, I'm not. I use it for summarizing things and research and finding links to articles to use for research, and so I do use it as well. But I refuse to use it ever to do my own writing for me. And again, that's not saying anyone else shouldn't do that or can't do that or whatever. That's just how I feel about it. And so I can't imagine that I'm alone in that.
And you are not. Also, James, we're cooked. We're totally cooked.
Nope.
Just want to reiterate.
Nope.
We're cooked. Anyway, you get the idea. It's okay to see things from different angles, and that's exactly the point. But as this stuff grows, I encourage you to be able to use these things, guys. Like go if you're like, Mike's always talking about this stuff, but I've never really tried it personally. I recommend you do. And not just because I think it's the future, for sure it is, but I think that the longer you wait, the more you're going to get left behind for whatever comes next. And that whatever comes next, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, and nobody does yet, but I think it's important to be able to kind of, put your toes in the ocean, as I like to say, to kind of understand what it is and what it means. And then maybe some of the things that I will say make a little more sense. Because again, like I said, I've been accused of being afraid of AI. I use it every day. Does that sound like I'm afraid of it? I mean, I think we've got a reckoning coming for a broken society, for a fracturing society. And I just hope it's for the best. That's all. That's all. The sixth gate, this gate, I don't know. It's behind gate number 30, Kramos. I don't know. The doors of perception seem to scale and fractalize. Just depends on what you think. That's it. That's Troubled Minds. Hey, for better or worse. Y'all are still here. I'm really sorry about that, but that's what it is. That's what it was. Anything, James? Wrap it.
Thank you for letting me sit in as always and be here. And great topic, great show, great calls from everyone tonight.
You are the best. Appreciate you very much. Follow Kramos. I didn't tell you how to do that. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down. It's Kramos. Follow Kramos. It's alphabetical. Super simple. Easy peasy as that. Right there. Kramos. Follow his YouTube channel. Great guy. Great thinker. Great content creator. Go check it out. Go leave a nice comment and go hang out with him on his stream. While you're there, all the rest of these amazing people, follow James. Alphabetical. Very simple. Salsido Paranormal. SALSIDO space paranormal. Search it yourself. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Follow James. Or, of course, SalsidoParanormal.com. And you will get his website. Go buy his books. Go follow his podcast. Go join the Discord. Because sometimes, actually, that's the secret society, by the way. James has a secret society. Meaning, if you're like, what are these guys talking about when they stay up late yucking it up and Mike is screaming at James or whatever? You haven't joined James's Discord yet. Sometimes it happens over there. Go do that. Link is there. The link tree. Go hang out. Come say hi to and meet all these amazing people. And thanks for being part of this. Great ideas from everybody. Thanks for all the great calls. Like I said, we're blessed to have very smart friends. And you just can't say that in a lot of spaces these days. And I mean that in the nicest way. Like no offense, but the political spaces. You get what I mean. Do you want to help Troubled Minds help our friends? Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. All the things. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it a million more. Please spend a few minutes each week and just kind of catch up and follow all the amazing people that belong here that are helping us. And if you're not on that list, I'm sorry. I'm adding you. You belong there. It's an in club, not an out club. If you want to help Troubled Minds directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening. But we're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're not going to talk about the Elon Trump dust up. Hell, I don't even think I said the name Trump. I just said it. I just said it right now twice, which is more than I've said it over the course of 6 months of shows. I mean, look, I get it. Trying times and all that. I just don't want to think about that stuff. I don't want to talk about it. Everybody else is doing it. Why do we have to? It feels like a kick in the gut to spend your time with your friends to talk about stuff you don't want to talk about. Okay, if you want to help Troubled Minds directly, spread the word. Old school, I want to say algorithms. Old school word of mouth beats algorithms every day. Let people know conversations happening where that won't happen. We're not going to tell you who to vote for, all the rest of that stuff. And we talk about wild ideas. Water coolest talk. That's that. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.